Chapter 1301. Huli looked at Yun Luofeng hesitantly, but in the end, he still accepted the medicinal ingredients. He turned his head and looked at the old man standing in front of him, saying, "Father, wait here for me for a moment. I'll go brew the medicine." He then turned around and left. "You too." The old man's gaze fell upon Yun Luofeng and Huli. "If you don't mind, you can rest here tonight." Yun Luofeng nodded gently. For cultivators, even a sleepless night would not hinder them. The next day, dawn. A clamor could be heard coming from outside the slums. The man was arrogant and domineering. "Hu Wenwu, Huli, how's the preparation of your money? If you still can't repay the debt, you can only use your lives as compensation." Creak. The dilapidated old wooden door was pushed open by an old hand. Immediately, the old man walked out with the help of the Huli brothers. The walking stick in his hand fell heavily on the ground, like a hammer to the hearts of the crowd. "Huyo Wu, you know very well what you've done." The old man's voice was hoarse and dry, extremely unpleasant to the ear. His dignified eyes stared coldly at the man standing in front of him, and his elderly face was cold and detached. Huyo Wu burst into laughter. "What have I done? Why didn't I know? On the other hand, everyone in Luo Hua Adult City knows that you've treated a patient to death. Your reputation has been ruined, and no one can help you." As soon as he finished speaking, Huyowu waved his hand, and a piece of paper appeared in his hand. The bright red handprint was clearly visible on this piece of paper. "You've borrowed a total of 10 million taels of silver from me. I wonder when you'll be able to return this money to me." The corners of his lips curled into a sarcastic angle as he stared at Hu Wenwu with disdain. "Hu Wenwu, when you were chased out of the Hu family, you should have kept your place and lived a peaceful life. However, you couldn't let go of your reputation and continue to treat patients. Aren't you forcing me to take action? You've single-handedly caused your current situation, and it has nothing to do with anyone else." The old man pointed angrily at his younger brother as his elderly body trembled. When he had found out the truth yesterday and recalled Hu Yowu's face, he felt the urge to give him a tight slap. Hua! At this moment, a strong gust of wind blew past. Hu Yowu did not hold onto the paper tightly, and it was swept into the void by the wind. Hu Yowu was greatly alarmed. Just as he was about to leap up and grab the promissory note, the promissory note suddenly flew forward and landed in a large hand. The man's black robe fluttered in the wind, and his face was cold and expressionless. His black eyes were incomparably deep, so dark that it was impossible to see through his inner emotions. After snatching the IOU, the man handed it to the white-clothed girl beside him. Then, the white-clothed girl raised her hand and tore it. The promissory note immediately turned into pieces in her hand and fluttered down. "Since you said that Hu Wenwu owes you a debt, you should take out the promissory note. If you don't even have a promissory note, what right do you have to demand for a debt?" The young girl raised her eyebrows slightly. Her demonic black eyes stared at the pale Hu Yowu as she asked casually. At that moment, there were already many people on the street. When they heard Yun Luofeng's words, they were instantly dumbfounded. "IOU? Didn't she just tear it apart? She actually dared to ask for an IOU? Could she not be so shameless?" Hu Yowu gritted his teeth. "Miss, do you think that I won't be able to do anything to this father and son trio just because you've torn up my promissory note? When the time comes, I'll stick the promissory note together and—" Chapter 1302. "Oh." The girl raised her eyebrows, and the smile in her eyes deepened. "Is that so? How about this?" Whoosh! In the air, the pieces of paper that had just fallen suddenly burst into flames. Under the flames, the lone note was burned to ashes. Hu Yowu felt as if he had been punched in the heart, causing his anger to rise spontaneously. He glared at Yun Luofeng with eyes full of murderous intent. "Miss, you better not meddle in other people's business. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Yun Luofeng's body leaned lazily on the man's body. He looked relaxed and content, and his smile was extremely beautiful. "I'm sorry. I'm really going to meddle in this matter. It's a fact that Hu Wenwu owes me money. Everyone in Luo Hua City can testify Hu Youwu's eyes darkened, and he said coldly, "He won't go back on his word." Yun Luofeng's lips curled up. "I'd like to ask, how did he owe you money?" "Humph, that goes without saying. It's because he treated a patient to death that caused the patient to demand compensation. He had no choice but to borrow money from me. Seeing that he's my elder brother, I lent him 10 million taels of silver." Hu Youwu snorted. "You can forget about reneging on this debt. If..." Yin Luofeng narrowed his eyes. "The patient he treated didn't die? The patient didn't die?" The crowd was in an uproar. They looked at Yin Luofeng as if they were looking at an idiot. Even Hu Wenwu himself had concluded that the child of the Ouyang family couldn't be saved. Then how could he not die? At this moment, no one realized that after Yin Luofeng finished speaking, a flash of panic flashed in Hu Youwu's eyes. He suppressed the nervousness in his heart and took a deep breath. "What nonsense are you talking about? He's clearly dead. Hu Wenwu can prove it himself. Could it be that you want to say that the Ouyang family deliberately blackmailed you?" With this, he had already cleared his name. Even if the matter failed in the end, it was Ouyang Qianran's problem. It had nothing to do with him. "It's about time." Yin Luofeng's gaze drifted to a place not far away. He should be back. Early this morning, Milk Tea had used her soul to inform him that she had found the young master of the Ouyang clan. She was currently rushing over and was about to enter Luo Hua City. Huli, Yin Luofeng turned towards Huli. "Bring Ouyang Qianran to me. Next, I'm going to show everyone a good show." Huli understood what Bai Yin Luofeng wanted to do. He nodded and quickly headed towards the east side of the street. Not long after, Ouyang Qianran was carried in his hands, and he strode over. "Huli, you little bastard, your father killed my son, and you still dare to attack me? You will definitely die a horrible death." "Shut up." Huli punched Ouyang Qianran in the eye. In an instant, one of his eyes turned jet black. He glared angrily at Hu Li as if he wanted to dismember him. When she arrived in front of Yin Luofeng, Hu Li threw him to the ground. A cold light flashed in her pair of fox eyes, her face expressionless. "Ouyang Qianran." Yin Luofeng stood on his tiptoes and stroked his chin with his fingers. He looked down at him with a smile. "I wonder if you'd like to watch a good show." Ouyang Qianran crawled up from the ground angrily. "Who do you think you are? How dare you speak to me like that?" Hu Li's eyes turned cold. Just as he was about to attack Ouyang Qianran again, a black figure had already flashed in front of him like a gust of wind. The figure raised its leg and sent him flying with a kick. Chapter 1303. In that instant, Ouyang Qianran's body flew tens of meters away. Under everyone's gaze, he landed heavily on the ground. Everyone was stunned. They stared in shock at the cold and handsome man and could not help but gulp. Although the Ouyang family was not as powerful as the Hu family, Ouyang Qianran was not weak. However, this man did not use much strength to kick him so far away. Especially, Ouyang Qianran had suffered serious injuries from his kick. He spat out blood and almost spat out all his organs. "He's almost here." Yin Luofeng raised the corners of his lips, his evil eyes filled with a cold light. "Ouyang Qianran, I wonder if you still want to see your youngest son." Ouyang Qianran's body trembled, his face instantly turning pale. "What do you mean? I don't understand." "It's okay if you don't understand now. You'll understand soon enough." Just as Ouyang Qianran was still confused, the young man's voice suddenly rang out from behind him. "Master, I found the person you wanted me to find." Hearing this clear voice, everyone on the street turned to look at the young man. The young man's figure was thin, and his white robe covered his thin body. His handsome and fair face was still young and inexperienced, but his bright smile made his entire body look like it was filled with sunshine. But what caught everyone's attention was the little fatty in the young man's hand. The little fatty's mouth was dripping with saliva, and he looked stupid. When he saw Ouyang Qianran lying on the ground, he burst into tears. "Father!" Ouyang Qianran's expression completely changed. His eyes were filled with fear, and his body could not help but tremble violently. The little fatty's cry was like a stone that had been dropped into a calm lake, causing a huge uproar. Isn't that Ouyang Qianran's dead son? Why isn't he dead? That's not right. this kid looks a little stupid. He's not as quick-witted as he used to be. Back then, because this kid was already dead, Ouyang Qianran asked Hu Wenwu for compensation and broke his leg. Now, who can tell me what happened? Ouyang Qianran's eyes had already turned from the initial fear to despair. He had clearly hidden his son very well, so how could he have been found? At the same time, Hu Youwu's expression was also very ugly. He fiercely glared at Ouyang Qianran as a trace of anger flashed across his eyes. He had long since told him to get rid of this brat to avoid trouble, but Ouyang Qianran did not have the heart to do so. Otherwise, how could such a scene occur? Was this the good show that the woman in white mentioned? I believe that all of you have seen it for yourselves. Hu Li was the first to react. He sneered. Ouyang Qianran's son is not dead at all. He had framed my father. How could he use such a despicable method? He's worse than a beast. At this moment, the noisy crowd once again erupted into an even more intense discussion. The shock in everyone's eyes was replaced by mockery, and countless accusations and curses flew towards Ouyang Qianran. Ouyang Qianran is truly sinister. His son is not dead at all, yet he actually said that his son is already dead. This is clearly a deliberate attempt to extort Doctor Who. Chapter 1304. I knew it. Based on Doctor Who's medical skills, he wouldn't have caused death. So it was all a frame-up. Now that we have witness and material evidence, let's see what else he has to say. Hold on. Even if Ouyang Qianran's son didn't die, why did he die at that time? Aside from the people who were crazily cursing Ouyang Qianran, there were naturally some clear-headed people in the crowd. That person interjected and caused the boiling crowd to quieten down. Yun Luofeng's lips curled into a faint smile. There's a type of pill that can cause a person to appear to be in a state of suspended animation. However, this pill also has side effects, and that is, after taking this pill, the person will become mentally retarded. You're talking nonsense. Ouyang Qianran rose angrily and glared fiercely at Yun Luofeng. That son's high fever is a fact. It wasn't because of that pill that caused him to become mentally retarded. His brain was burnt. Ouyang Qianran's heart clenched fiercely at the thought of this. He had used his son's high fever to frame Hu Wenwu, but because of this, his illness had been delayed and his son had become mentally retarded. However, at this moment, Ouyang Qianran, who knew that he had been exposed, did not continue to deny everything. Instead, he had admitted it. So what if he hated the Hu father and son? If it wasn't for them, how could his daughter have died? It was only right for him to seek revenge on them. There's a type of medicinal herb in this pill. It's called the mind-loss grass. As long as you're a doctor, you'll understand the effects of the mind-loss grass. Yun Luofeng raised his brows as he stared at Ouyang Qianran. The corners of his lips curled into a shallow angle. Mind-loss grass? Ouyang Qianran shook his head. Impossible. That pill can't possibly have the mind-loss grass. I don't believe it. I definitely won't believe it. Master. Milk Tea walked to Yun Luofeng's side, extended her hand, and said, I found this in the Ouyang boy's residence. After saying this, he took out a pill and handed it to Yun Luofeng. Yun Luofeng was just about to reach out to take the pill when Yun Shao pressed down on his hand. He tore a piece of his sleeve and handed it to her. Don't dirty your hands. Yun Luofeng gave a slight smile. She grabbed the rag that Yun Shao handed to her and used it to wrap the herbs. After consuming the pseudo-death medicine, all you need to do is use your inner force to force the pill out, and you'll be able to wake up. I bet you didn't expect that your son would think it was something good and keep it. Yun Luofeng handed the pill to Hu Wenwu. Hu Wenwu was stunned. He took the pill and sniffed it gently. His expression changed suddenly. This pill does contain the mind-loss grass. If Yun Luofeng had said this, Ouyang Qianran would not have believed him. But the person in front of him was the highly respected Hu Wenwu. No matter how much he hated the Hu father and son, he had to admit Hu Wenwu's character. This fellow had always disdained to lie. Since he said that the pill contained the mind-loss grass, then it must be true. Thinking of this, Ouyang Qianran felt his heart tremble, and his mind went blank. My son's stupidity is my fault? No, Hu Youwu was also the cause of all this. Ouyang Qianran clenched his fists tightly and gritted his teeth as he spat out this word. Before he could finish speaking, a flying knife pierced Ouyang Qianran's throat, causing his body to tremble and his eyes to widen in disbelief. Chapter 1305. You old bastard. Hu Youwu rushed in front of Ouyang Qianran and fiercely kicked his body to the ground. He then pulled out the throwing knife from his neck. You actually dare to frame my elder brother. This is truly unforgivable. Today, I will kill you to avenge my elder brother. Stop. Hu Li's expression changed greatly. Ouyang Qianran was the only person who could accuse Hu Youwu, but now, he had been killed by Hu Youwu in front of him. Hu Youwu, stop right now. Hu Li quickly rushed in front of Hu Youwu and raised his hand. Just as Hu Youwu was about to make another move, he quickly snatched Ouyang Qianran over. Unfortunately, Ouyang Qianran was already dead. Hu Youwu, what are you doing? Hu Li's heart was filled with anger as he stared coldly at Hu Youwu. Hu Youwu chuckled. Of course I'm avenging you. This bastard actually dared to frame you. Doesn't that mean he doesn't respect the Hu family? How can I allow these beasts to behave like this? Hu Li smiled coldly. You want to silence us? A cold light flashed in Hu Youwu's eyes, and he put on a fake smile. What are you saying? I'm your second uncle after all. I'm definitely siding with my family. Otherwise, when your father was being forced, I wouldn't have let him alone. Where else can you find a good person like me? Hu Li clenched his fists tightly and cracked them. His expression was incomparably gloomy, and the murderous intent on his body grew stronger. Yin Luofeng did not make a move. After all, he had done enough for Hu Li. Next, he would have to rely on himself. Hu Youwu, I'll get the evidence. Hu Li scoffed. You can get lost now. A dog that bites Lu Dongbin. You don't know how to appreciate my kindness. Hu Youwu sneered and waved his hand. Let's go. When he finished speaking, he led a group of people from the Hu clan away in a grandiose manner, leaving behind Hu Li, who was trembling in anger. Actually, when Hu Youwu had tried to assassinate Ouyang Qianran, Yin Luofeng and Yun Xiao could have stopped him. However, they had not done so. So what if they had stopped him? As long as Hu Youwu did not admit to it, there would be no evidence to prove that Ouyang Qianran had been ordered by him. Therefore, in the end, Yin Luofeng and Yun Xiao didn't move. Of course, they had another more important reason. There seemed to be a familiar aura on Hu Youwu. Yin Xiao, do you feel it? Yin Luofeng's eyes darkened as he asked. Yin Xiao's expression was cold and indifferent as his deep voice slowly rang out. Bai Su. That's right. Hu Youwu did have Bai Su's aura on him. In other words, Bai Su had interacted with him before. Yesterday, when Xiao Bai went to the Hu residence, she didn't notice Bai Su's presence. We only noticed Hu Youwu's aura today, which means that they met last night. As he grew stronger, his sense of smell became more and more obvious. For experts, judging a person did not depend on their appearance, but on their aura. This was also the reason why disguising techniques could not fool experts. It looks like we need to stay here for a while. Yun Xiao raised her hand to protect Yin Luofeng in her embrace. Her lowered eyes were filled with warmth. Yin Luofeng raised his eyebrows and smiled. You're planning to wait for Bai Su to appear? That's right. He's too dangerous. If I don't get rid of him, I won't be at ease with your safety. Chapter 1306. Hu Mansion. Hu Youwu's figure cut a sorry figure as he hurriedly rushed in. He ran into the main hall and took the teacup from a servant girl. He took a big gulp of tea and threw the teacup onto the ground. This woman has caused my plan to fail. I won't let her get away with it. A cold light flashed across his eyes as he spoke sinisterly. At that moment, a demonic voice suddenly rang out from the beam of the room, causing his expression to change drastically. I told you last night that you would fail. The man's voice was filled with insufferably arrogant, demonic, and awe-inspiring. His handsome face curled into a small smile. Then, he leapt forward and stood in front of Hu Youwu. If you listen to my orders, I can help you. Hu Youwu's eyes darkened. He looked at the man standing in front of him and gritted his teeth. How do you want to help me? And why do you want to help me? He never believed that such a powerful man would help him for no reason. Not only was the man before him powerful, Even his features were so perfect that they could turn all living things upside down. How could such a handsome and demonic man not move the hearts of all the women in the world? However, this man's aura was too frightening, so much so that no one could get close to him. The reason why I'm helping you is very simple. The man narrowed his eyes, and a demonic smile appeared on the corners of his lips. I want Yin Luofeng. All these years, the Ghost Emperor had never given up on hunting him down. Since that was the case, he must snatch Yin Luofeng away and let him experience the pain of wishing he were dead. Also, a cold light flashed across the man's eyes. I heard that the Hu family has a magic weapon that can conceal one's aura. After I've helped you, I hope that you can give me that magic weapon. Hu Youwu was stunned. This magic weapon is not a problem, but if you want Yin Luofeng, why don't you show yourself? The man's eyes swept towards Hu Youwu. This glance caused him to stop breathing. He felt as if his heart was being squeezed by a hand, and it was so painful that it was difficult for him to breathe. You only need to complete the task that I've given you. Otherwise, you can lose your life here right now. Hu Youwu gritted his teeth. I will mobilize all the forces of the Hu family to deal with those people. After saying that, Hu Youwu hurriedly walked out of the hall. He did not even have the courage to look back at the devilish man. Master, it was unknown when the gorgeous woman had appeared beside Bai Su. She lowered her eyes slightly and said, the Hu family's strength is not Yun Zhao's match. I know. Bai Su smiled devilishly. I don't intend to rely on these people to deal with Yun Zhao. I'm only trying to give them some trouble. Not to mention, I came to the Hu clan for the sake of that magic treasure. As for the life and death of the Hu clan members, what does that have to do with me? More importantly, when he stepped into the Hu family, he had already sensed Yun Zhao's existence. If he left Luohua City now, he would definitely be noticed by Yun Zhao. That was why he had asked Hu Youwu to bring people to cause trouble for them. Perhaps it would also give him a chance to leave. Have you found the item? Bai Su's eyes darkened as he asked. The gorgeous woman nodded. Master, this jade pendant is what you need. Bai Su raised his brows slightly. He turned to look at the jade pendant in the gorgeous woman's hand and slowly took it. At that moment, his body shrank with a bang. The large silver robe that covered his small body did not seem to fit him at all. Chapter 1307. At this moment, Bai Su had turned back into a 5 or 6-year-old boy. He looked like he was carved from jade and was very cute. His big, bright eyes contained an evil smile, and the slight curve of his lips revealed an awe-inspiring murderous intent. Back then, I was injured by Yun Zhao, causing my power to disappear. In order to recover, I could only become a child. Even now, I can only recover to my peak state for an hour at most. After an hour, you would become a boy again. My lord, your injury will recover very soon. The beautiful woman walked to Bai Su's side, her eyes filled with admiration. This was the man she had been waiting for her entire life. For him, she was willing to let go of everything. Let's go. After getting what he wanted, Bai Su slowly walked out of the hall and disappeared without looking back. In Luohua City, the original silence was broken by the clamor of the Hu family. Hu Youwu led all the experts of the Hu family and aggressively killed their way into the slums. So much so that it attracted the attention of many onlookers. After a while, he had already walked to Hu Wenwu's door and kicked it open with a bang. Hu Wenwu, get out here right now. Hu Youwu's eyes were fierce as he shouted angrily. Beside him, there was a group of old men. Obviously, these old men were the elders of the Hu family. When he saw Hu Wenwu walk out of the door with the help of a walking stick, Hu Youwu sneered, Hu Wenwu, when you betrayed the Hu family, you were not qualified to continue practicing medicine. However, you have forgotten the family rules. Now, I have brought the elders of the family to seek justice. When Huli heard this, his fox-like eyes surged with anger. Hu Youwu, when did my father betray the family? He was obviously driven out by the narrow-minded you. Moreover, the Hu family did not say that my father is not allowed to continue saving people. I am the master of the Hu family. If I say that there is such a rule, then there is. Once your father leaves the family, he is not allowed to continue practicing medicine. Now that he has violated the rules, I naturally have the right to execute him. Uli clenched his fists tightly as the veins on his forehead bulged. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes, causing his entire body to show its imposing manner. Wu, what right do you have to execute my father? Hulin also stood up and asked angrily. Wu said coldly, not only your father, but also you two brothers. All of you deserve to die. Men, arrest these people for me. My brother is a member of the Western Continent Academy's Heaven ranking. Hulin's face changed greatly as he anxiously shouted. The strength of the Hu clan elder was also not bad. No matter how talented his younger brother was, how could he fight with so many old fellows? Therefore, Hulin hurriedly mentioned the Western Continent Academy. Heaven list? The Hu clan elder laughed mockingly, his face full of disdain. If he could get onto the Heaven roll, wouldn't it be too easy? Moreover, if he really had this kind of ability, his father would have announced a long time ago. Why would he be silently bullied? Hulin, do you take our Hu family for fools? Who would believe your words? Hulin's face turned pale as he glared fiercely at the people surrounding them. Huli! Suddenly, a demonic voice rang out from behind him. When Huli turned his head to look, he saw the young girl with her arms crossed over her chest, leaning lazily against the door railing. The corners of her lips curled into a smile as she stared at Huli with a smile. If you need help, let me know. Chapter 1308. Huli laughed arrogantly. I alone am enough to deal with these people. All right, where's Sir Yin Xiao? Yin Luofeng paused and said, he has something to do and has gone out for a while. Huli finished this quickly. All right. Huli faced the enemy in front of him. The anger in his eyes gradually faded and his fox-like eyes were filled with confidence. Huli, let's see if you can still say such arrogant words after this. Huyo laughed out loud and commanded everyone to charge at Huli. Yin Luofeng did not look at the battle before her. Her gaze was fixed on the azure sky in front of her, and a sense of worry appeared in her black eyes. Yin Xiao, no matter what, you must return safely. At the city gate, Bai Su looked at the city gate in front of him, and a light flashed in his demonic eyes. Jinyu, we will be able to leave soon. Huli alone might not be able to stop the Hu family, so Yin Luofeng would definitely stay behind to help them. Based on Yun Zhao's personality, how could he be at ease leaving Yin Luofeng alone? Therefore, he would stay by Yun Luofeng's side to accompany her at times like this. As for what Bai Su had said to Hu Youwu previously, they were all half-truths. He knew that the Hu family's power would not be able to shake Zhu Yinxiao. Hence, he did not stay in Luo Hua City for long, to avoid being discovered by that man. Now that his injuries had not recovered, he had to walk around Yinxiao. Once he recovered to his peak strength, it would be time for him to fight Yinxiao to the death. But, just as Bai Su was about to step out of the city gates, a black-robed man appeared in his line of sight. A light breeze blew, and his black robes fluttered, accentuating the man's grim features. His deep black eyes were filled with murderous intent. Bai Su stopped in his tracks. As their eyes met, a dense aura surged from both of them, causing the surrounding wind to blow and dust to fill the air. Yin Xiao, an evil light flashed in Bai Su's eyes as he stared coldly at the man standing in front of him. You didn't stay by Yun Luofeng's side? The man's voice was as cold and hoarse as ever, but it contained his confidence in the young girl. Those people are no match for her. He believed in Yun Luofeng. Even if Yun Luofeng had not broken through to Holy King, she believed that those people would not be able to touch her. Bai Su smiled. Yin Xiao, looks like I've underestimated all of you. Unfortunately, do you think that you can stop me with your strength? If I want to leave, no one can stop me. Yin Xiao stared at Bai Su expressionlessly. You want to rely on this woman beside you to bring you away. All these years, the reason why Bai Su had been able to escape time and time again was because of this woman beside him. Otherwise, Bai Su would have already died in his hands. Master, Jin Yu's face darkened slightly with vigilance. Don't worry. I will take you away, even if I have to risk my life. Hua. As soon as he finished speaking, the man at the city gate suddenly moved. His speed was so fast that he floated like a gust of black wind. In the blink of an eye, he was already in front of Jean Yu. Boom! Before Jean Yu could react, she was hit by a force. Her body flew out and fell to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. "Master, let's go!" Jean Yu shouted anxiously. Her beautiful eyes were filled with eagerness. "Yin Xiao," Bai Su laughed icily. "Don't you think it's a little ungentlemanly for you to attack a woman?" Chapter 1309. Yin Xiao retracted his hand, and his handsome face remained expressionless. His voice was low and hoarse, and his eyes were extremely cold. "If I let you escape, you'll hurt Feng. Anyone who hurts Feng will be my enemy." Grace? That kind of thing was never something he could have. He only cared about Yin Luo Feng in this life. Suddenly, the aura from Yun Zhao's body surged out and instantly attacked the peerless beauty on the ground. Under this aura, Jean Yu could not move at all. Her beautiful eyes flashed with panic and her face turned pale. Bang! A white robe swept across and blocked in front of Jean Yu. She used all her strength to block the attack. Under this attack, Bai Su took 2 steps back. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth as he looked up at Yin Xiao. The wide silver robe fluttered slightly, swaying in front of Jean Yu's eyes, causing her heart to tremble fiercely. She was only the Lord's maid. It was her honor to serve the Lord. But the Lord protected her. "My Lord, don't worry about me. With your current strength, you can't defeat the Ghost Emperor. Leave quickly." "Shut up." Bai Su wiped the blood from the corner of his lips. Then he lowered his eyes and roared. Shortly after, he raised his head and looked at the Ghost Emperor with a cold smile. "Ghost Emperor, even if I, Bai Su, have to sacrifice 1,000 years of my life, I won't let you stay with Yin Luo Feng so easily." Yin Zhao's cold eyes stared deeply at Bai Su. He walked towards Bai Su expressionlessly, and a murderous aura burst from his body. Bai Su fiercely bit his finger, causing fresh red blood to seep out from his finger. His smile was filled with an evil aura and an insufferably arrogant aura. "Yin Xiao, you've been following me for so many years. You should have discovered my identity by now." He looked at Yin Xiao, who was walking towards him, and continued. "In fact, I'm not the young master of the Bai family. I'm the one who founded the Bai family." Everyone in the Roaring Dragon mainland knew that the young master of the Bai family had great authority in the Bai family. Even the master of the Bai family was extremely obedient to him. However, everyone thought that it was because of his extraordinary talent that everyone in the Bai family obeyed him. However, they had no idea that the young master of the Bai family was the one who founded the Bai family. Yin Xiao stopped. Even though he already knew everything, it was a completely different feeling from hearing it from Bai Su's own mouth. "I've lived for too long, so long that I don't even know how long I've lived. Originally, I was not from the Roaring Dragon continent. It was an accident that caused me to fall into the Roaring Dragon continent, and my strength was severely damaged. In order to live a peaceful life in the Roaring Dragon continent, I founded the Bai family. This was also the reason why the young master of the Bai clan acted mysteriously, and why every young master was named Bai Su. This time, in order to deal with you, I'm willing to pay the price of 1,000 years of my life. I'll let you leave Yin Luo Feng forever." Bai Su's lifespan was very long, so long that he didn't know how many more years he had left. However, this did not mean that he would never die. If he lost 1,000 years of his lifespan, he wouldn't be able to bear it either. Therefore, hearing this, Jean Yu's heart suddenly trembled, and she said anxiously, "My lord, you must not use this method. Otherwise," Bai Su didn't seem to hear Jean Yu's words. He muttered something, and a drop of blood essence flew out from his fingertip and charged straight towards Yin Xiao. Chapter 1310. Yin Xiao furrowed his brows and moved sideways to evade the drop of blood. Who would have guessed that the drop of blood which had been enveloped by energy would suddenly return and enter Yin Xiao's heart with a swoosh? "Yin Xiao, there's no point in hiding, haha. My essence blood will follow you until it enters your body." Bai Su's lips curled into an evil angle as he stared disdainfully at Yin Xiao. "Furthermore, as long as my blood is in your body, You will never be able to unite with Yun Luo Feng. Of course, there's only one way to break this. That is, you must find another woman. In this way, Yun Luo Feng will never accept you again. Indeed, Bai Su understands Yun Luo Feng very well. As long as Yun Xiao does anything to let her down, she will leave him forever. Yun Xiao's expression was icy cold, and the murderous intent in his eyes grew even stronger. With a loud bang, he raised a powerful energy and fiercely struck Bai Su's chest. Bai Su spat out a mouthful of blood, and he stared disdainfully at Yun Xiao. Yun Xiao, from today onwards, you can't touch Yun Luo Feng again. Otherwise, you will suffer unbearable pain. However, I can give you a suggestion. Find another woman and unite with her. That will remove the blood curse I've placed on you. As long as Yun Luo Feng doesn't find out, he will never leave you. Boom! Yun Xiao raised his hand once again, and the energy continued to strike Bai Su's body. In that instant, Bai Su felt as if his body had been smashed into pieces, and the pain was unbearable. If he could recover his former powers, he would not have been suppressed by Yun Xiao like this. Unfortunately, his powers had recovered too slowly, and he was unable to defeat Yun Xiao. Your schemes, Yun Xiao raised his eyes and said grimly, will never succeed. I will never do anything to let her down. Bai Su replied with disdain, even if you can never touch her again, as long as this blood curse exists, every time you touch her, your heart will be in unbearable pain. Can you endure this kind of torture? For her, I'm not afraid of the 18 levels of hell. What more a blood curse? Yin Zhao's expression grew even colder, and the cold from his body grew even more intense. Just as he was about to attack Bai Su again, his heart twitched violently, and he clutched it tightly. Do you feel this pain? Bai Su slowly stood up from the ground. Even if she misses you, your heart will still ache. Hearing this, Yin Zhao's lips curled into a faint smile. This is not bad. Bai Su was shocked as she looked at Yun Xiao in astonishment. Yun Zhao's smile was filled with warmth as she clutched her heart tightly. If I'm not by her side in the future, then I can feel her longing. Wasn't this a good thing? Yun Xiao, are you really not going to find another woman to break the blood curse? Bai Su's face darkened. Yun Xiao raised her head, and the smile on her lips disappeared. Her face was cold and expressionless. Other than her, I won't touch anyone else. Bai Su glanced at Yin Xiao one last time before raising her hand to help Jinyu up. Her eyes sank as she said, "Let's go." With that, he quickly turned around and fled out of the city gate. Yin Zhao's eyes turned cold as he gathered all his energy on his body. With a loud bang, he chased after the two people who were fleeing for their lives. Boom! This energy hit Bai Su's body, causing him to stagger violently and almost fall from the sky. Perhaps Yin Xiao had used too much energy this time, causing a hole to appear on Bai Su's back. Blood filled the air and dyed his silver robes red. Chapter 13:11. Bai Su did not even dare to stop. Enduring the pain, he ran away. Yin Xiao wanted to chase after him, but at this moment he felt another sharp pain in his heart, forcing him to stop. Master! A gray figure descended from the sky and landed beside Yin Xiao. Do you want me to chase after him? No need. Yin Xiao frowned. Even if Bai Su is seriously injured, you're no match for him. Yin Xiao clutched his chest tightly. A blood curse that consumed 1,000 years of his lifespan? If it were not for the blood curse, Bai Su would have died today. Don't let Foma know about this. Yin Xiao thought for a moment before he instructed. Lin Xiong was startled and carefully suggested, Master, why don't you listen to Bai Su's suggestion and find a woman? Just don't let Madam know. Yin Zhao's cold eyes swept over Lin Xiong. His gaze made Lin Xiong's heart turn cold. It was as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, so cold that he shivered all over. Go back and receive your punishment. The man's voice was cold and merciless. Perhaps no one could move him except for Yun Luo Feng. Lin Xiong bowed with a pale face. Yes, master. After throwing down these words, Yin Xiao turned around and left. The hand that was tightly clutching his chest tightened slightly. Slap! Lin Xiong slapped herself in the face. It's all my fault. I've offended Master again. A few years ago, Master threw me into prison for punishment because I provided Master with erotic pictures. Now that I've finally been released, I've been forced to live a life of darkness again because of my mouth. Master was so infatuated with Madam. Perhaps, even if he died, he would not betray Madam. In the slums, countless people had gathered on the street. They were pointing at the two parties who were fighting and discussing. With a bang, Huli took 2 steps back. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked up at the group of people in front of him. Holy King! These people were also shocked by the strength that Huli had displayed. They had not expected that Huli had really broken through to become a holy king. Unfortunately, so what? Even if he was a saint king, he was only one person while they were a group. How could they possibly be afraid of him alone? Thinking of this person, the elders once again launched an attack on Huli, showing no mercy. Yin Luofeng. Hulin was a little anxious. He looked at Yin Luofeng and begged, "Can you help my brother?" Yin Luofeng raised his eyebrows. Without waiting for her to speak, Huli's voice rang out. "No need, I alone am enough." A cold smile hung on the corners of his lips as he stared coldly at the members of the Hu family. Luohua City has been quite lively recently. I wonder what happened in front. Suddenly, an aged voice sounded out from behind the crowd, and it was filled with curiosity. "I'm not sure. We should hurry and find Huli, Feng, and the others in case that madman finds Feng, The one who said this was a woman. Her voice was very flirtatious and stood out in the crowd. "All right, I'll ask where Huli's home is now." Ling Hai chuckled. He casually grabbed a person and asked, "Is there a person called Huli in your Luohua city? Where is he?" "Huli?" That person was stunned for a moment and pointed to the front. "He's fighting with someone, what?" Ling Hai's expression changed greatly, and he stood up in rage. "Huli is fighting with someone? In other words, someone has provoked Feng again? Who is so reckless? Who dares to provoke even my disciple?" Chapter 13:12. As soon as he finished speaking, Ling Hai dashed forward with a whoosh. Shuiling shook her head helplessly and quickly chased after him. On the battlefield, Huli was fearless in the face of the elder's attacks. His handsome face remained expressionless. At this moment, an angry voice came from the sky and separated the two sides of the battle. "Stop!" This voice was like a devil's voice piercing through everyone's ears, striking their hearts like a hammer, causing their bodies to tremble. Huyu looked up in surprise and saw two people walking out of thin air. One of them was an old man whose face was livid with anger. The other was an elderly woman. Because she had taken good care of her body, there were no traces of wrinkles on her face. Instead, she looked very charming. You are." Huyu was stunned. He frowned and thought for a while. "I remember you. You seem to be an elder of the West Continent Academy." An elder of the West Continent Academy? Everyone was stunned. Why would an elder of the West Continent Academy appear here? Huyu was lucky to be able to meet Ling Hai. When he was young, he followed his father around the world and coincidentally met the popular Ling Hai. He remembered him even more. However, Ling Hai did not recognize Huyu. He walked down from the sky and quickly walked in front of Yin Luofeng with a nervous expression. "Disciple, are you all right?" "Disciple?" Like a bolt from the blue, Huyu was stunned. This girl was Elder Ling Hai's disciple? Impossible. Why would Elder Ling Hai's disciple be together with Huli? "I'm fine," Yin Luofeng shrugged. "Huli is the one who's in trouble, not me." Hearing this, Ling Hai turned to look at Huli and said coldly, "Huli, what happened?" Huli looked at Huyu and explained, "He joined forces with someone to frame my father. I'm now settling the score with him." "Nonsense." Huyu glared at Huli. "The one who framed your father was Ouyang Qianran, not me." "Elder Ling Hai, don't listen to his nonsense. As his uncle, how could I harm his father?" Ling Hai coldly snorted. "Do you think I will believe the disciples of my academy, or you?" After he finished speaking, he once again turned to Huli and said resentfully, "Huli, in any case, you're a disciple of our academy's heavenly role. Why is it so difficult to deal with these people? What if they accidentally hurt my precious disciple?" At this moment, Ling Hai seemed to have forgotten that Yun Luofeng was stronger than Hu Li. How could these people hurt her? But now, no one was thinking about this sentence anymore. They were all stunned by Ling Hai's words. Heavenly ranking disciple? Was Hu Li really a disciple of the Academy's heavenly list? Hu Youwu's body trembled, and he staggered a few steps. In the end, he couldn't bear it and fell to the ground with a bang. His face was pale and filled with fear. He was probably regretting his actions to the point that his intestines had turned green. Hu Youwu had never thought that Hu Li would really be a disciple of the heaven role. No, I still have young Master Baisu. Hu Youwu's eyes turned from despair to hope. How could he forget about young Master Baisu? With young Master Baisu's strength, he would definitely be able to defeat the person in front of him. At this moment, Hu Youwu had never thought that if Baisu really had the confidence to defeat Yun Luofeng and the others, then why would he hide himself and let him be the one to stand out? Chapter 13:13. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng raised his head and saw Yun Xiao slowly walking towards him. His eyes held a smile as he asked, "How is it?" Yun Xiao's heart throbbed violently when he saw the girl smile. He instinctively wanted to raise his hand to cover his heart, but when he remembered that Yun Luofeng was right in front of him, he could only lower his hand. "I didn't manage to kill Baisu, and he escaped." Baisu escaped? The speaker did not mean it, but the listener did. Hu Youwu's expression changed instantly when he heard this. "Sir Baisu escaped? Does this mean that I've been abandoned by him?" "No." Hu Youwu howled at the sky. Tears of despair finally flowed from his eyes, and his face was ashen. "Yin Xiao, let's talk inside. Let Hu Li handle this himself." Yun Luofeng held Yun Xiao's hand and turned to enter the room. Yun Xiao's heart throbbed again, but he did not pull his hand out of Yun Luofeng's. He allowed him to pull him into the room. "Feng Er." Yun Xiao looked at Yun Luofeng seriously. "I might need to leave for a while." Yun Luofeng was stunned. He turned to look at Yun Xiao. "You're leaving? Baisu's power is not as good as mine, but I can't kill him either." Just as Baisu had once said, Yun Xiao could not kill him. "Why?" Yun Luofeng asked with a frown. "Baisu's body is very special. Not only does he have a long lifespan, his defense is also very strong. Of course, if it wasn't for the blood curse, Baisu might have already died in his hands, so I plan to go out and increase my power." Yun Luofeng grabbed Yun Xiao's arm tightly and said seriously, "I'll go with you." "No need. The place I'm going is too dangerous. I'm not afraid of any dangerous place." The girl's voice seemed to have a magical power that made Yun Xiao's heart feel like it was being torn apart again. It also made a drop of cold sweat appear on his handsome face. "Yun Xiao, are you hurt?" Yun Luofeng looked a little nervous as he hurriedly checked Yun Xiao's body. Yun Xiao lowered his gaze to stare at the young girl, whose face was filled with worry. The corners of his lips curled into a slight angle. "Don't worry, I'm fine. Feng Er, believe me, I'll be back very soon." Hearing this, Yun Luofeng's hand gradually slid down from Yun Xiao's arm. After a long time, a devilish smile appeared on her lips, and her black eyes were filled with determination. "Okay, I will wait for you to come back." Yun Xiao smiled. He picked up Yun Luofeng's hand and pressed it tightly against his own chest. "In the future, when I'm not by your side, I'll be able to feel it when you miss me." What he said was the truth. As long as Yun Luofeng missed him, his heart would be torn apart. Yun Luofeng tiptoed and kissed Yun Xiao's lips. As the two of them kissed, she clearly felt the man's body suddenly tremble. "Yun Xiao?" Yun Luofeng left the man's lips and stared in astonishment at the handsome and cold features. "You? What's wrong?" Why did he feel that something was wrong with Yun Xiao? "I'm fine." Yun Xiao shook her head and forcibly suppressed the pain in her heart. She then said, "Feng Er, you must wait for my return." As Yun Luofeng was in a daze, the man had already walked out of the room and gradually disappeared from her line of sight. Outside the city gates, in the dense forest, the man's body leaned against a tree trunk. His hand was clutching his heart tightly. This heart-wrenching, lung-splitting pain would cause one's dashing brows to furrow deeply. Chapter 13:14. When he had been by Yun Luofeng's side, he had not dared to show it, no matter how much pain he was in. This was because the girl was too cautious. If he had shown even the slightest bit of pain, she would have noticed it. Master! At that moment, the man in green descended from the sky and cupped his fists respectfully. Lin Xiong has gone back to receive her punishment. Do you have any other orders, Master? Yun Xiao straightened his body. His hand was still clutching his heart tightly as a cold light flashed across his eyes. Middle ground. Middle ground? The man in green was stunned. Master wanted to go to middle ground? That place where powerful cultivators gathered? The heart of Bodhi only exists in middle ground. The heart of Bodhi? The green-clothed man asked cautiously. Master, may I be so bold as to ask, this Bodhi heart? The heart of Bodhi can keep me alive for 3 days. The man's voice was cold and deep, but the young man was stunned. Alive for 3 days? What did that mean? Since he placed a blood curse in my heart, I will dig out his blood essence, even if I have to cut open my heart. The man's voice was extremely domineering and echoed in the forest for a long time. The young man was completely dumbfounded. Did the master mean that once he found the heart of Bodhi, he would not die for 3 days no matter what kind of injuries he suffered? He would not die even if he cut open his own heart? But that was his heart. The master had gone to such an extent just to not betray the mistress? The young man could not help but sympathize with Lin Xiong. The master loved the mistress so deeply, but he had suggested that the master find a woman to break the blood curse. Wasn't this equivalent to angering the master and throwing him out to be punished? If Qin Yuan was here, he would definitely not say anything that went against the master's wishes. On the other hand, Lin Xiong was more foolish. Yun Xiao clenched his chest tightly and looked up at the blue sky behind him. Fenger, wait for me. Once I break the blood curse, I will come back to see you. Huli walked into the room and found that only Yin Luofeng was staring out the window in a daze. He coughed and said, I have settled the matter with the Hu family, so we can set off now. Yin Luofeng withdrew his gaze and nodded slightly. We will leave tomorrow. Take advantage of tonight to say goodbye to your father and brother. All right, that's right. Yin Luofeng, your husband. Huli was just about to ask about Yin Xiao when he was interrupted by Yun Luofeng's voice. He has something to do and needs to leave. We don't have to wait for him. Yin Luofeng gently lowered her eyes. Her heart was faintly filled with unease. She kept feeling that Yin Xiao seemed to be hiding something from her. Master! Just as Yin Luofeng was thinking about Yin Xiao, Little Mo's voice slowly came from within her soul. No matter what Yin Xiao does, it's all for you. Therefore, the only thing you can do is to trust him. Yes, the only thing she could do was to trust her. Little Mo, I don't want to wait for him here. I will work hard to improve my strength and find him. She would find him at the ends of the earth. At the same time, in a mountain range, Jin Yu, supported by Su's body, found a piece of stone and stopped. She lay by Su's body flat on the stone, her beautiful eyes filled with heartache and worry. My lord, how are you? Baisu did not even have the strength to open his eyes. Blood continuously seeped out from the bloody hole in his back, dyeing the stone red. Chapter 13:15. If his lord had not refined his physique to make his body different from an ordinary person, perhaps Yun Zhao's final attack would have killed his lord immediately. Jin Yu bit her lip tightly. However, even if his lord managed to save his life, he will still lose his life if he is not treated in time. What's more, he has just used 1,000 years of his life as the price to cast a blood curse. Baisu's eyelids moved slightly, and his hand hung limply on the ground. His face was already covered in blood, and it was impossible to see his features clearly. However, in order to fight Yun Xiao, Baisu had forcibly used his strength to restore his body size. Hence, Jin Yu had struggled to carry him along the way, and her forehead was covered in a layer of sparkling and translucent sweat. My lord, I'm sorry. This subordinate is useless, and that's why you've sustained such serious injuries. Jin Yu's expression softened, and her beautiful eyes gazed tenderly at Baisu. Her fingers gently stroked Baisu's cheek as her lips curled into a shallow smile. Now, there's only one way to save you. Furthermore, it can also help you restore a certain amount of your strength. Even if you'll hate me for this, I must save you. She lowered her head and gently kissed Sue's blood-stained lips. She then raised her hand and removed all her clothes. Back then, his lord had picked me up because of my special physique. As long as I was nurtured with medicinal herbs, my body could become a medium for his lord to restore his strength. Unfortunately, my physique is still not enough for his lord to restore all of his strength. However, now, I have no other choice. This is the only way to save his lord's life. Sue furrowed his brows and instinctively wanted to resist. However, he did not even have the strength to raise his hand and could only allow that small hand to slide down his body. In the depths of the forest, the stone house was overflowing with spring. Jean Yu's movements were very rusty, and the pain made her beautiful face pale in an instant. Time ticked by, and the man, who had his eyes tightly shut, suddenly opened them. His large hand fiercely hit Jean Yu's body, and Jean Yu's body flew out with a loud bang before she landed pathetically on the ground. "Master, are you all right?" Jean Yu propped herself up and looked at Sue in surprise. Sue coughed twice and spat out a mouthful of blood. He clenched his fists tightly, and the blue veins on his forehead bulged. "Jin Yu, how dare you? Who made you do such a thing?" Perhaps it was because his injuries were too severe and he had yet to recover, but Sue's words seemed to lack strength. His devilishly handsome face was ashen. "Master," Jean Yu bit her lips and stood up from the ground. "Have you forgotten the ultimate purpose of bringing me back that year? Just now, I just wanted to help you." Sue sneered. "Help me? You're helping me? Get lost. Get out of my sight. I don't want to see you again." "Master," Jean Yu was stunned. She knew that the master would definitely have an overreaction, but she didn't expect that he would drive her away directly. "Master, this subordinate, scram. Don't force me to kill you." A murderous intent flashed across Sue's eyes. His voice was filled with intense anger, and he could not suppress it. "Master," Jean Yu smiled. Her smile was beautiful and moving, and her beautiful eyes were surging with a firm light. "You once brought me back and used medicinal herbs to cultivate me. The purpose was to let me restore your strength. But now, you haven't let me take a medicinal bath for a long time." Chapter 13:16. Sue's gaze became colder and colder, filled with an eerie chill. Looking at the man's cold eyes, Jean Yu could not help but shiver. She bit her pale lips and said nothing. "Put on your clothes and let's go." Sue was no longer angry with Jean Yu. He slowly stood up from the stone and leaned against the tree behind him with his slightly staggered body. But his cold expression made Jean Yu even more flustered. She knelt on the ground with a bang and said anxiously, "My lord, I know I was wrong. Please don't chase me away." "Jean Yu, don't force me to do anything to you." Sue took a deep breath and gently closed his eyes. He clenched his fists so tightly that they made a cracking sound. He was obviously extremely angry. Jean Yu slowly stood up from the ground, and her lips curled into a self-deprecating smile. "My lord, you don't want to touch me because of Yin Luo foam?" Suddenly, Sue opened his eyes. His sword-like eyes shot towards Jean Yu, and he said sternly, "What nonsense are you talking about?" "My lord, don't you know if I'm talking nonsense or not?" Jean Yu's face was pale. "That's right. Yin Luo foam is not only beautiful, but also talented and excellent. How can you not be tempted by such a woman? Perhaps my lord wanted to use Yin Luo Feng in the beginning, but later on, you got to know her more and more and became more obsessed with her. Am I right?" "Shut up." Sue angrily stopped Jean Yu's words. "I've always just wanted to use her. If you dare to make any more wild guesses, don't blame me for killing you right now." Jean Yu smiled gently. Her smile was beautiful, but it was filled with sorrow. "Even if my lord wants my life, so what if I give it to my lord? My life was saved by you, my lord. All these years, I've followed you without any other request. I'll do my best to get the woman you want for you. If my lord hadn't been seriously injured this time, I wouldn't have violated you. So, I don't regret it." Whoosh! A fierce wind blew toward Jean Yu. Sue's palm tightly grasped her neck, and a dense light flashed in her evil eyes. Jean Yu's body trembled. She closed her eyes tightly, and her lips curled into a smile. To be able to die in the hands of the Lord, she had no regrets. Baisu's grip became more and more forceful. He only needed to exert a little more strength, and the young girl in front of him would die here. But in the end, he loosened his fingers. With a wave of his sleeves, a force hit Jin Yu's body. In an instant, Jin Yu's body flew out and fell to the ground in a sorry state. I never want to see you again in this life. After that, his figure flashed and quickly disappeared in front of Jin Yu. However, Baisu did not leave for long. He stopped 100 meters away and punched the ancient tree beside him. I like Yin Luo Feng. How is this possible? Baisu sneered, and his devilishly charming face curled into a mocking smile. For 1,000 years, no one has been able to move my heart. Just Yin Luo Feng alone doesn't have this ability. However, Yin Luo Feng is much stronger than his mother, Bai Ling. He had wanted to use Yin Luo Feng from the beginning. It was like this in the past, and it will be like this in the future. Fall in love with her? It would never be possible. Baisu looked behind him at the thought of this. After seeing that Jin Yu did not follow, he quickly disappeared into the forest again. Chapter 13:17. The sun was high up in the sky. A streak of fiery light flashed across the sky, dyeing the sky red like a flame. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, several figures descended from the sky and stood in front of the woman in red. The woman in red raised her brow and swept her domineering gaze across the people blocking her way. She then cried out in a stern voice, "Get out of the way! My lady, we've finally found you. The continent Lord has asked for you to return." A few people were unwilling to obey the woman in red's orders and continued to block her way as they replied respectfully, "Get out of the way." The woman in red berated them coldly. Her fiery red robes ignited her temper like gunpowder. "My lady," an elderly voice rang out from behind the crowd. An old man dressed in green robes slowly stepped forward with a kind smile on his face. "My lady, you've been away for a few years now. I wonder if you're willing to return to the East Continent with us?" The woman in red's expression gradually sank as she stared coldly at the old man in front of her. "Even you're here. It seems that he's determined to force me to return. My lady, the continent lord is doing this for your own good." Enough. Seeing that the old man was about to say something else, the woman in red cut him off. "I'll return to the East Continent, but I don't want anyone to restrict my freedom." The woman in red waved her sleeves. Her peerless features were cold and distant, and her eyes were so cold that it made one's heart tremble. The old man shook his head in exasperation. In order to escape her marriage, the lady had fled from the East Continent to the West Continent and had even sneaked into the West Continent Academy. If it had not been for a coincidence, they would never have known that the lady would hide in a place like this. Indeed, based on the lady's talents, a place like the West Continent Academy would not be worthy of her attention. However, that was the only place that would be unexpected. "By the way, my lady, I've heard that you've been looking for someone recently. Is that right?" The old man's eyes darted back and forth as he asked. The woman in red swept her sharp gaze towards the old man. "This is my private matter. It's none of your business." If these people were to find out who she was looking for, they would certainly use every possible means to find Yin Luo Feng and force her to go to the continent lord's mansion. However, this was not what she wanted. West Continent. The border was desolate. It was like an ancient battlefield, with no signs of human habitation other than the smoke of gunpowder. Yin Luo Feng will reach the East Continent after passing this place. Are we really going there? Huli was a little hesitant as he carefully looked at Yin Luo Feng. Yin Luo Feng raised his eyebrows. "What's the matter with the East Continent?" "This." Huli smiled bitterly as he shook his head. "Before the elders left, they told me that some time ago, someone from the East Continent came to look for the number 1 genius on the heaven leaderboard. Therefore, I guess that she should be from the East Continent. Since we've come to the East Continent, we might bump into her." Yin Luo Feng narrowed his eyes. "The East Continent is so big. I might not meet her." Huli thought about it and agreed, so he did not stop Yin Luo Feng. Suddenly, he caught a glimpse of a small figure hidden in the sand in front of him. He was stunned for a moment before he involuntarily walked forward and used his fingers to dig away the sand, revealing a small figure. Yin Luofeng, there's a child here. Children? A hint of suspicion flashed across Yin Luofeng's eyes as he looked in Hu Li's direction. He saw a young child lying in the sand. He was wearing a blood-stained robe that did not fit him. At this moment, the boy was frowning and his dirty little face showed a pained expression. Chapter 13:18. Master, this child's body has the aura of the fruit of the soul. The fruit of the soul? Yin Luofeng was stunned and looked at the boy with an even more solemn expression. This child's body doesn't have any spiritual energy fluctuations, so why is he here? And why does he have the aura of the fruit of the soul? As he spoke, Hu Li had already carried the boy out of the sand and quickly walked towards Yin Luofeng. This child seems to have suffered quite a serious injury. Yin Luofeng, your medical skills are excellent. Can you think of a way to save him? Yin Luofeng thought for a moment and gently nodded. His injuries are not a problem. I'll just feed him a spiritual herb. Hu Li, we'll go to the inn later. Help him change his clothes first. She was determined to obtain the fruit of the soul. She would not let go of even the slightest bit of information. Fortunately, this place was not too far from the East Continent. Based on their speed, they could reach it in 2 hours. Although this place was at the border of the 2 continents, there were quite a number of inns. It was obvious that many people would often come to the border to hunt spiritual beasts. At this moment, Yin Luofeng was sitting on a chair in the inn. She held a cup of tea in her hand and languidly sipped it. Suddenly, a hand pushed open the room door and Hu Li walked in with a half-grown boy. The boy had washed the dust off his face and had changed into a clean silver robe. He looked young and adorable. His pink, jade-carved face was still filled with nervousness as he timidly watched Yin Luofeng, who was sitting in the room. I've already washed him clean. Hu Li stroked the boy's head and her lips curled into a smile. She then raised her head to look at Yin Luofeng. Yin Luofeng put down the teacup in her hand and lowered her eyes to stare at the person in front of her. Your name? The boy looked at her weakly and spoke in a voice as soft as an ant. I don't remember. Don't remember? Yin Luofeng raised her brows and asked. The little boy nodded with a weak and pitiful expression on his face. I don't remember anything. Can you take me in? I promise I won't cause you any trouble. He bit his lip, and his large eyes were filled with tears. He looked like he had been bullied. Then who injured you? Yin Luofeng continued to ask. The little boy seemed to recall some horrifying images. Fear surfaced in his eyes. He hugged his head tightly and squatted on the ground in pain. It's a bandit. Those bandits wanted to capture me as a male pet. I didn't agree, so they injured me. The boy's skin was soft and tender, and he looked like he was carved from jade. It was indeed easy to attract the attention of some perverts. But perhaps Yin Luofeng was overthinking things, but he felt that his appearance was not just a coincidence. Go and rest first. Yin Luofeng lazily stretched his body and said evilly, All right. The little boy nodded obediently. He looked at Yin Luofeng one last time, then turned and walked out the door. Bang! After he left, Yin Luofeng waved his hand and smashed the door. Hu Li, watch her. Her voice sank, and she said coldly, However, no matter what he does, you must not stop him. I want to see what his goal is. As for why Yin Luofeng did not chase him away, that was because the aura of the fruit of souls on the boy's body was real and reliable. She wanted to find the fruit of souls through this boy. You're saying that there's something wrong with this boy? Hu Li looked at Yin Luofeng with some surprise. Chapter 13:19. Yin Luofeng shook her head. I didn't say that there's anything wrong with him. This is just my guess. I hope that my guess is wrong. No matter what, Hu Li, you must keep a close eye on him. In this world, there were not many people she could trust. She would not simply trust a stranger whom she had never met. I understand. Hu Li nodded seriously. I'll keep an eye on him. I'll report to you if anything happens. You can leave too. Yin Luofeng held the back of his head with both hands and closed his eyes as if he was tired. Hu Li did not say anything else and left the room. After he left, Yin Luofeng opened her eyes. A light flashed across her eyes. Little Mo, did you notice anything wrong with that child? Little Mo shook his head. I couldn't sense anything wrong. Little Mo's sensitivity was the strongest. If even he could not sense anything wrong, could it be that she had guessed wrongly? I've already asked Huli to keep an eye on him. If there's anything wrong with him, Huli will sense it. If he's here with ulterior motives, I won't let him off. Yin Luofeng slowly rose from the chair and walked towards the large bed. I hope that I can find the fruit of the soul soon and help Xiao by recover. Next, I'll look for Yin Xiao. She had a feeling that Yin Xiao was hiding something from her. Therefore, she had to find that man no matter what. No matter how great the difficulty was, they must face it together. The night was like water. The silence was alluring. Yin Luofeng sensed that the door to her room had been pushed open. She raised her brows, but did not make sound. A hand grabbed onto her blanket, and then slowly reached into it. Yin Luofeng finally could not hold it in any longer and raised her hand to grab Small Hand. Suddenly, she opened her eyes, and her sharp gaze swept towards the little boy in front of the bed. She asked in a cold voice, "What are you doing?" The little boy was stunned. He looked at Yin Luofeng aggrievedly, and tears almost fell from his eyes. I want to sleep with you." Yin Luofeng gently narrowed her eyes. "I'm sorry. Only my man can sleep on my bed. Even if you're just a child, there's no room for you." The boy lowered his head. His expression was one of despair and sorrow, as if he had suffered a great injury. "You're very similar to my mother. I couldn't hold back just now, so..." A dangerous light flashed in Yin Luofeng's eyes. "Didn't you lose your memory?" The boy's head was still lowered, so no one could see the expression on that adorable young face. "I don't remember the past, but I have my mother's portrait. I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose." Creak. At this moment, the door was open again. Huli pretended not to know anything and stepped in from outside the room. He seemed to have not woken up yet and yawned lazily. "Why are you in Yin Luofeng's room? Let's go back to sleep." The boy allowed Huli to pull him out of the room. The instant he walked out of the room, he turned his head and looked at Yin Luofeng once more. His eyes were filled with longing and reluctance to part with him. If it was an ordinary person who met such a handsome boy, they would definitely not be able to control their motherly love. Unfortunately, Yin Luofeng was not an ordinary person. In front of this boy, her state of mind had never changed. Chapter 13:20. Not long after Huli left with the boy, he appeared in the room again. "Just now, I sensed this guy sneaking out, so I followed him. I didn't expect him to come directly to your room. I know your strength, so I didn't act rashly. I wanted to see what he wanted to do." Huli looked at Yin Luofeng seriously and explained why he had appeared so late. Yin Luofeng raised his eyebrows. "That's right. Continue to monitor him." Huli hesitated for a moment. "Yin Luofeng, don't you have a hamster? Using that hamster to monitor him would probably be better than me." "Why did you?" "I don't know why, but I don't feel safe letting Milk Tea monitor him." After saying this, Yin Luofeng fell silent. No one knew what he was thinking. Huli's eyes narrowed. "Actually, I think he really misses his mother. That's why he came to find you. This boy doesn't seem to have any strength and looks harmless. He shouldn't be in any danger." Hearing this, Yin Luofeng smiled. She slowly stood up and said, "Huli, you can't judge a person by their appearance. Do you understand? The more harmless he is, the more sinister he might be. I, Yin Luofeng, have lived to this day because I don't trust anyone." Back when she was still in Huaxia, she had experienced a broken family. Her kind-looking uncle had adopted her, but after receiving the property left behind by her parents, his face immediately changed. As for her, she had been sent to an orphanage. Those children who appeared obedient and sensible in front of others liked to torture others behind their backs. Because of this, she didn't trust anyone, even if the other party was just a harmless child. Huli was silent for a moment, then nodded. "I understand. I will continue to watch him and won't let him do anything threatening. Go and rest. We still have to hurry on our journey tomorrow." Yin Luofeng waved his hand and laid down on the bed again. Huli's heart had already become clear. He also understood why Yin Luofeng was so cautious. He glanced at Yin Luofeng gratefully and walked out of the room. On this mainland, one had to be vigilant at all times. Otherwise, one could lose their life at any time. The next day, dawn. Huli and the little boy had been waiting at Yin Luofeng's door for a long time. When he saw the door open, the little boy's black eyes flashed with joy. However, when he thought of Yin Luofeng's attitude towards him last night, his expression became incomparably timid. Yin Luofeng's gaze moved from Hu Li's body to the boy. He carefully examined the boy's harmless face. You said yesterday that you lost your memory and probably forgot your own name. How about this from now on? Your name is Nothing. Nothing? Confusion flashed through the boy's eyes, as if he did not understand the meaning of this name. Yin Luofeng clearly didn't want to explain any further, but her lips curled into an evil smile. Hu Li, he looks like he's carved from jade. When the day comes that we don't have enough money to spend, we'll sell him to a brothel. Little Lemo, who was coaxing the small tree in his soul, suddenly heard Yin Luofeng's words and his face darkened. Master, you have a special liking for brothels? The first time she saw Yun Xiao, she also wanted to sell her to a brothel. Yin Luofeng, Hu Li's mouth twitched. This doesn't seem to be a good idea, right? Chapter 13:21. Yin Luofeng glanced at him. I don't keep idle people. If he wants to follow me, he must be of some use. Otherwise, I'll sell him to a brothel immediately. Hearing Yin Luofeng's words, the little boy immediately panicked. His bright eyes flashed with panic, and a pitiful expression hung on his pitiful face. I can wash and cook, and I can take care of pets. Don't sell me to a brothel, okay? He originally wanted to hug Yin Luofeng's leg, but thinking of the girl's coldness, he couldn't help but stop in his tracks. He only looked at her with those pitiful eyes, afraid that she would really sell him to a brothel in a fit of anger. In reality, he could already tell that Yin Luofeng was joking. If she really did not want to take this little boy in, she would not have let him stay, and would not have sent him to keep an eye on him. Unfortunately, no matter where Yin Luofeng went, he would always meet people who liked to meddle in other people's business. There's actually such a cruel person in this world, willing to sell such a cute child. A young man's angry voice sounded from the side. Little girl, won't you be struck by lightning for doing this? Hu Li's face darkened, and she coldly glanced at the young man who was slowly walking over. The moment she saw the young man, her expression turned even uglier. Wang Junfei, why are you here? Oh, I was wondering who it was. So it's the trash from the West Continent College. Ha! Wang Junfei laughed out loud. I was just guessing. Who could be so heartless to such an extent? It's actually someone from the Western Continent Academy. That's right. Other than your Western Continent Academy, who else would be so poor as to sell their children? Hearing the conversation between the two, Yin Luofeng glanced at Hu Li. You know him? Hu Li coldly snorted. He's from East Continent College. We've met before and even fought. However, he lost to me, so he has always harbored a grudge and wants to seek revenge on me. Wang Junfei's expression turned cold. Harbor grudge? Why do you have to make me hold a grudge? Our East Continent College gathers geniuses from various forces, unlike the West Continent, where someone with a family background like yours can actually enter. The East Continent College was an elite college, and the enrollment fee was ridiculously high, which caused many ordinary people to shrink back. However, the Western Continent Academy was different. As long as one's strength met the standard, anyone could enter. Don't get in our way, Scram. Hu Li shouted coldly as a cold light flashed across his fox eyes. If you insist on not leaving, that means you want to get beaten up again. Wang Junfei's eyes darkened as he sneered and said, Hu Li, I'm indeed no match for you. But so what? I'm not like you, Ziran Yixing. This time I brought people with me. Do you think that you alone can beat me? What a joke. Men, go and capture these people for me. Looking at the two middle-aged men who were slowly walking forward, Hu Li's face gradually darkened. Wang Junfei was nothing to him, but there was an expert from the Wang family here. Suddenly, a hand landed on Wang Junfei's body. The young girl stepped forward, and a smile appeared on her beautiful face. Are you people who want to beat up my people? Wang Junfei narrowed his eyes. Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that? I will settle the matter of you abducting and selling children with you later. Right now, I am looking for the people from the Western Continent Academy. Chapter 13:22. Yin Luofeng smiled faintly. Sorry, I'm also from the Western Continent College, so do I have the right to fight with you? Wang Junfei scoffed coldly and waved his hand. What are you waiting for? Fight. In Wang Junfei's eyes, Yin Luofeng was nothing. He was probably another person who had been seduced by Hu Li. What a pity, such a peerless beauty had actually followed a pauper like Hu Li. That's right, in Wang Junfei's eyes, Hu Li was a pauper. Even if he was ranked 10th on the Western Continent College's Heaven list, even if he was valued by the college, he still could not compare to the powerful Wang family. With the Wang family's strength, wouldn't it be a matter of minutes to crush him? Just as Wang Junfei finished speaking, the young girl's figure suddenly disappeared into thin air. Before he could return to his senses, she had already appeared in front of him. Bang! With a kick, Wang Junfei, who was standing between the two burly men, was kicked out, and he tumbled down the stairs in an extremely sorry state. The Wang family's experts were stunned, but they quickly reacted and surrounded Yin Luofeng. Hu Li stood by her side and faced the enemy in front of them together with her. Kill them, kill them! Wang Junfei no longer cared that these two people were from the Western Continent College. He stood up and roared angrily. His eyes were bloodshot like a jackal, a tiger, or a leopard. The two burly men immediately moved. Their fists were wrapped in spiritual power, and like a storm, they attacked Yin Luofeng and Hu Li. He looked helplessly at Yin Luofeng and Hu Li. He bit his lips tightly and did not make a sound. What happened? Suddenly, a low shout came from outside the door, causing Wang Junfei, who was already in a bad mood, to fly into a rage. Unrelated people, get out of my sight. Don't provoke me. The footsteps stopped in front of Wang Junfei. After that, he heard an aged voice, and it was filled with rage. Are you sure you want to get out? Wang Junfei frowned and was just about to turn around to teach this ungrateful old man a lesson when he suddenly saw the guard beside the old man take out a token and wave it in front of Wang Junfei. On the token, the words Continent Lord's Mansion shone brightly, causing Wang Junfei's expression to change instantly. You are from the Prefecture Lord's Mansion? He swallowed his saliva with some difficulty, and his eyes were filled with horror. He had offended someone from the Continent Lord's Mansion. The old man said coldly, Now, can you tell me what happened here? It's like this. Wang Junfei suppressed the fear in his heart. These two people are from the Western Continent Academy, and they even boldly provoked the Eastern Continent, and even claimed that the Eastern Continent is inferior to the Western Continent. Most importantly, they dared to insult the Prefecture Master's Mansion of the East Continent. Wang Junfei, who was originally filled with fear, spoke more and more smoothly, pushing all the blame onto Yin Luofeng. Oh right, the man among the two is called Hu Li. He is a member of the Western Continent Academy's Heaven ranking. The 10 disciples of the Heaven ranking are all trash. Besides, I heard that the top 10 disciples of the Heaven ranking are planning to join forces to destroy the academies of the Eastern Continent and raise the Continent Lord's Mansion to the ground. Oh, suddenly, a woman's voice rang out from the back of the crowd. When Wang Junfei raised his head, he saw a woman dressed in red walking out. She raised her eyebrows and spoke in a domineering voice. Are you sure that the 10 disciples of the Western Continent really spread such rumors? Wang Junfei thought about the woman's identity. Since she was walking with the people of the Continent Lord's Mansion, she must be from the Continent Lord's Mansion. My young miss is asking you a question. Hurry up and answer. The old man saw that Wang Junfei did not speak and shouted coldly. Young miss? Wang Junfei was stunned. This beauty was the eldest young miss of the Continent Lord Mansion. Thinking of this, Wang Junfei did not dare to hesitate, and hurriedly said, That's right, this matter is absolutely true. Eldest young miss, you must bring people to destroy that arrogant Western Continent Academy. The Western Continent Academy should not exist in the first place. Now that the eldest young miss has heard these people belittling the Continent Lord's Mansion, she would definitely kill the 10 disciples of the Heaven ranking. If the Western Continent Academy did not have the Heaven ranking, it would be completely useless. Therefore, this was the reason why Wang Junfei had implicated the 10 disciples of the Heaven ranking. Originally, he could have only framed Hu Li alone, but in order to destroy the Western Continent Academy, he claimed that the words were spread by the 10 people of the heaven ranking. Unfortunately, Wang Junfei did not know that he had made a huge mistake. The red-clothed woman curled her lips. Her voice was like that of a demon, causing Wang Junfei's heart to tremble. I'm sorry, I'm also a member of the Western Continent Academy, and I'm also at the top of the heaven ranking. Chapter 1323. Wang Junfei was stunned. His face turned pale from his initial shock as he stared at the woman in red in terror. What did she just say? That there was nothing wrong with my ears? The woman in red sneered. She did not look at Wang Junfei again as she walked towards Yun Luofeng in the corridor. Huli had just repelled the enemy in front of him when he suddenly saw the woman in red walking towards him. His body trembled in fear, and he almost dropped the sword in his hand. Ew, why are you here? His eyes were filled with panic as he wailed in his heart. He had thought that the East Continent was so vast that it was impossible for him to meet this lunatic. Who would have thought that? He would meet her in a place like this. The woman in red's gaze never stopped on Huli. Her gaze landed on Yun Luofeng, and she gently raised the corners of her lips. Yun Luofeng? Yun Luofeng stopped what he was doing and stared deeply at the woman in red who had appeared in front of him. The number 1 genius of the West Continent Institute, Hong Wan. Hong Wan smiled. Number 1 genius? If you hadn't appeared, I would have been able to take on this title. But now, I feel that this title suits you better. Yun Luofeng, I've long heard of you, and I'd like to see your strength. I wonder if you're willing to fight? Some battles were destined to be unavoidable. All right. Yun Luofeng raised his brows slightly. I accept your challenge. Whoosh. The woman in red raised her hand, and a long sword appeared out of thin air in her hand. She had never underestimated Yun Luofeng's strength from the beginning. Hence, she did not hold back and took the initiative to attack. A sharp gust of wind from the sword swept past, and the doors of the inn were affected. They collapsed and turned into ruins. Yun Luofeng did not hesitate and met his opponent's attack head-on. It's over, my inn. Then owner cried bitterly as he watched the battle between the two. His expression was even more sorrowful than if his parents had died. The old man frowned and swept his cold gaze across the inn owner. He then took out a silver note from his sleeve and tossed it at him. The Continent Lord's Palace has bought this inn. You can do whatever you want with it. As for the rest of you, leave immediately. The innkeeper was originally heartbroken over the destruction of his inn, but he didn't expect that the people from the Continent Lord's mansion would be so generous, casually giving him a banknote with a face value of 10,000 taels. He was deeply grateful and repeatedly thanked them before turning around and leaving. Wang Junjia's eyes turned slightly. He planned to take advantage of the chaos to sneak out of here. Just as he took a step forward, a hand reached out from behind and grabbed his clothes. You can't leave yet. Wang Junjia fiercely swallowed a mouthful of saliva and laughed awkwardly. Sir, as the saying goes, the ignorant are not guilty. I did not know that Eldest Miss is a student of the Western Continent Academy, so the old man's cold eyes swept over Wang Junjia. The killing intent in his eyes caused Wang Junjia's heart to tremble. He hurriedly shut his mouth and obediently stayed in the inn, not daring to take another step out. Boom! The corridor collapsed, and the two of them fell into the hall from the corridor. The sword chi was like a rainbow, rampaging everywhere. The tables and chairs were all thrown to the ground, and it was a complete mess. The woman in red took 2 steps back and stood amidst the dust that filled the sky. Her mesmerizing phoenix eyes narrowed slightly, and her red lips curled into a domineering angle. Yun Luofeng, you didn't use your true abilities. Chapter 1324. She raised her head slightly and looked at the beautiful woman standing in front of her. And the reason why I challenge you is because I want to see your true power. Yun Luofeng glanced at the woman in red and kept her sword. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. The woman in red's voice was confident and loud. I'm confident that I can defeat you. Boom! Countless vines appeared on the ground around Yun Luofeng. These vines seemed to be alive as they wrapped themselves around Hong Wan. Hong Wan's eyes flashed with battle intent. This was the only way things would be interesting, right? If her opponent was too weak, she would lose the desire to fight. Boom. Yin Luofeng was very fast. Like a gust of wind, she passed through the vines and arrived in front of Hong Wan. Her fist was wrapped in a layer of powerful energy as she punched fiercely towards Hong Wan's chest. When Hong Wan saw that Yin Luofeng had thrown away his weapon, she also threw the sword in her hand onto the ground. Her domineering laughter echoed throughout the entire inn. Ha! Yin Luofeng, I didn't come back to the East Continent for nothing this time. Bang! Their fists collided in the air, and it was like a bomb had exploded, stirring up a strong storm. Her hair danced in the wind, and she looked indescribably enchanting and peerless. Huli was stunned. She stared blankly at the young girl, standing in front of Hong Wan, as a look of surprise flashed across her eyes. Yin Luofeng's power seemed to be at the high-level Holy Spirit stage, while Hong Wan had already reached the mid-level Holy King. However, she had actually faced Hong Wan's attack head-on. In reality, what Huli did not know was that the vines had disturbed Hong Wan, giving Yin Luofeng the opportunity to attack her. On top of that, Yin Luofeng had been trapped in the celestial spirit mirror for 3 months, causing her body to be stronger than an ordinary person's. If the two of them had fought with weapons, Yin Luofeng might not have been Hong Wan's match. However, Hong Wan had chosen to fight Yin Luofeng with her fists. This also allowed Yin Luofeng to have the ability to resist Hong Wan. The time that the two of them had fought might not have been long in the eyes of others, but to them, it had exhausted all their energy. Logically speaking, with Yin Luofeng having so many medicinal herbs, it should be easy for her to recover her strength. Unfortunately, in this battle, she did not know how to cheat. This caused the two of them to lose their strength at the same time, collapsing to the ground. Hong Wan's forehead was dripping with sweat, but her face was curved into a charming smile. She turned to look at Yin Luofeng. Yin Luofeng, you are stronger than I imagined. It's been a long time since I've had such a good fight. Let's fight again after I recover. Yin Luofeng smiled faintly. Okay. Ha ha ha. Hong Wan could not help but laugh maniacally. Her eyes were curved and her eyes were filled with joy. At this moment, Yin Luofeng had already taken out a piece of blood ginseng and placed it in his mouth. He then gave another piece to Hong Wan, who was next to him. Hong Wan was stunned. She took the blood ginseng and popped it into her mouth. When the blood ginseng entered her mouth, she felt the strength in her body gradually recovering. Thank you. She leapt up from the ground and extended her hand towards Yin Luofeng. Let me introduce myself again. My name is Hong Wan. The master of the East Continent is my father. Initially, I had gone to the West Continent Academy to escape from my marriage. Who would have thought that I would be discovered by this group of people? Yin Luofeng raised his brows and looked at the group of people who were following closely behind Hong Wan. The smile on his lips deepened. Yin Luofeng. Hong Wan's eyes flickered. Why don't you pretend to be my man? Chapter 1325. Yin Luofeng's face darkened. The people from the Continent Lord's residence were also stunned as they stared at the cunning Hong Wan. No way. Huli was the first to jump out. Yin Luofeng is a woman. How can he pretend to be your man? Hong Wan looked at him disdainfully. Just disguised as a man. I will not marry the man father has chosen for me anyway. Miss, the expressions of the people from the Continent Lord's residence changed drastically as they hurriedly tried to stop Hong Wan. Hong Wan looked at them coldly. You're not allowed to leak any information about this. If I find out that you have spread this, I will not let you off. Don't forget, father will grow old one day, and I will be the one in charge of the East Continent. The woman's voice was domineering as her cold eyes swept past everyone. Yin Luofeng's expression darkened. I did not agree. Hong Wan was not as domineering as she was with the people from the Continent Lord's residence. She smiled. We're already friends. Won't you help a friend when he is in trouble? You can look for Huli. No, I only want you. If it had been anyone else, Yin Luofeng would have left without a word. However, she admired Hong Wan very much and felt a sense of kinship with her. All right, I agree. Yin Luofeng agreed. However, you have to do me a favor. What is it? As long as you say it, I will definitely do it. I want to find someone. His name is Yun Xiao, and his nickname is Ghost Emperor. The people from the Continent Lord's residence had thought that Yun Luofeng would reject their Mrs. Rude request. They never expected her to agree so readily. Their hearts trembled at the thought of their young miss bringing this woman back. They hoped that the Continent Lord did not see through them. Otherwise, they would not be able to escape. Did you hear that? Hong Wan raised her brows and turned to the people behind her. Go and find him immediately. If you can't find him, don't come back to see me. Miss, then you... The old man frowned. I will go back myself. There is no need for you to say anything. The old man laughed bitterly as he looked at the woman's cold and arrogant eyes. He had no choice but to leave with the people from the Continent Lord's residence. After everyone left, Hong Wan noticed Wang Junjie, who was trying to sneak away. You want to leave after insulting my West Continent Academy? Hong Wan sneered. How can there be such a good thing in this world? Hu Li, go beat him up for me. Let him understand that West Continent Academy has my support. Hu Li seemed to be very afraid of Hong Wan and did not dare to disobey her orders at all. In addition, he had endured Wang Junjie for a long time. He immediately rushed up and beat him until he cried out in pain. He did not look like a human, nor did he look like a ghost. Yin Luofeng glanced at Wang Junjie, who was wailing in pain under Hu Li's rage. His evil eyes gradually fell on Hong Wan. When are we leaving? Hong Wan stroked her chin. Let's go. I'll bring you to change into men's clothes. After that, we'll set off for the Continent Lord's mansion. The streets were messy and noisy with people coming and going. In the silk shop, Hong Wan was waiting anxiously at the entrance. Not long after, a beautiful youth dressed in white appeared in front of her. Her eyes instantly lit up. The youth was devastatingly beautiful, and his evil lips were curled into a smile. His posture was languid and demonic, filled with an indescribable charm. Chapter 1326. Yin Luofeng, I didn't think that you would look so perfect in men's clothes. TSK, TSK. If you were really a man, I would definitely fall in love with you. Hong Wan circled around Yin Luofeng, and the more she looked, the happier she became. Just as she had said, when Yin Luofeng appeared in the crowd, those women could not take their eyes off her. Hu Li was also stunned. She did not know that Yin Luofeng was so devastatingly beautiful and peerless even in men's clothes. The heavens were really unfair. They had given her a flawless face and also gifted her with peerless talent. Such a person was like a darling of the heavens who had been doted on by thousands for a lifetime. Yin Luofeng saw the stunned and dazed look in Hong Wan's eyes. She smiled evilly and gently lifted her chin with her finger. Hong Wan, remember what you promised me. Hong Wan returned to her senses and slapped Yin Luofeng's hand away. She glared at her. Do you really think of yourself as a man? And you're even teasing me? I heard that you're already married and your husband is an extremely overbearing, jealous jar. I don't want your husband to find me and think that I'm taking advantage of his wife. After saying this, Hong Wan hurriedly turned around. She gently patted her burning cheeks and exhaled heavily. If Yin Luofeng was really a man, she would definitely be bewitched by her. Of course, the prerequisite was that she had already let go of that person in her heart. Let's go. Yin Luofeng stretched lazily. Aren't you in a hurry to return to the Continent Lord's residence? I can help you settle this matter earlier. Hong Wan nodded. The journey to the Continent Lord's residence is not very far from here. We can reach in a day. Yin Luofeng, no matter what happens, I will definitely protect you. This was her promise to her. It was a promise that could only be made once, but she had fulfilled it for a lifetime. Yin Luofeng. Hu Li walked in front of Yin Luofeng. I think that when you're dressed as a man, don't smile at women casually. Otherwise, when the time comes, young Master Yin Xiao will not only have to face his male love rivals, but also some female love rivals. Will he be able to handle them all? Yin Luofeng shrugged. I'm just joking. Besides, do you think that Hong Wan is the kind of person who isn't mentally strong enough? If Hong Wan's mind wasn't strong enough, she wouldn't have been able to reach this stage. Hu Li understood this point and hurriedly followed behind Yun Luofeng, stepping into the distance. East Continent. In the Continent Lord's mansion, a middle-aged man sat on a chair. His eyes were cold, and his expression was solemn. The first miss hasn't returned yet? Continent Lord, the eldest miss is already on her way back to the city. She should be back soon. Just as this person finished speaking, a figure rushed in from outside the door and said in surprise, Continent Lord, eldest young miss, she's back. What? The Continent Lord, who originally had a serious expression upon hearing this, instantly stood up. An imperceptible joy flashed across his eyes, and then he became extremely serious. I'd like to ask her where she's been all these years. She doesn't even return home. After saying this, the Continent Lord led a group of people out of the hall. Suddenly, before he could even take a step forward, that fiery red dress had already appeared in front of him. Father, I'm back. Hong Wan raised her head and looked at the Continent Lord as she spoke slowly. The Continent Lord was just about to speak when her next sentence caused his expression to change on the spot. Chapter 1327. Father, I've returned this time to announce something. Hong Wan hooked the hand of the young man next to her, and her red lips curled into a sly smile. This is my man, Yun Luofeng. In the beginning, the Continent Lord's gaze had been fixed on his precious daughter. Now that he heard this, his expression changed greatly, and he turned to look at the young man who was standing next to Hong Wan. The young man was dressed in white robes and was incomparably handsome. There seemed to be an evil smile in his pitch-black eyes. With just one glance, one would be deeply attracted to his black eyes. Danger. That's right. In the Continent Lord's eyes, Yun Luofeng was both beautiful and dangerous. His evil was impossible to guard against, and the smile on his face was cold. The Continent Lord's expression sank. Warner, don't mess around. I've already chosen a fiancé for you. You have to marry him even if you don't want to. Father, Hong Wan laughed icily. Why do you insist on me marrying him? Is it because he's the young master of the North Continent's Continent Lord mansion? Have you ever thought about whether I'll be happy if I marry him? The Continent Lord frowned and said helplessly, Warner, I believe that you'll be happy if you marry him. Furthermore, haven't you two had a good relationship since you were young? Why are you so against becoming his wife now? Father, you don't have to say anything else. I'll only marry Yun Luofeng. I won't marry any other man. Hong Wan threw out these domineering words and pulled Yun Luofeng away. The Continent Lord flew into a rage. Warner, stop right there. Hong Wan stopped in her tracks and lowered her eyelids to hide the coldness in her eyes. Sir Yun, the Continent Lord looked at Yun Luofeng and said politely, Warner is the young lady of the East Continent's Continent Lord's mansion. She's destined to marry someone from another Continent Lord's mansion. With your good looks, you can easily win the hearts of other women. Why bother pestering my daughter? In other words, Yun Luofeng had used his good looks to bewitch Hong Wan. Hong Wan's eyes were filled with anger. Just as she was about to retort, the young man next to her suddenly grabbed her hand and gently patted it. Yun Luofeng raised his black eyes and looked at the Continent Lord's ashen face. No one could stop Hong Wan from marrying someone she doesn't want to. The youth's voice was loud and clear, filled with a domineering aura. After saying these words, she grabbed Hong Wan's arm and slowly walked out of the hall under the astonished gazes of the crowd. The scenery of the Continent Lord's mansion was pleasing to the eye. Yun Luofeng pulled Hong Wan along the corridor in the backyard before stopping. Hong Wan turned her head and looked at the perfect side profile of the youth beside her. She said sincerely, Yun Luofeng, thank you. If you were really a man, I would definitely want to marry you. Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows. If I were a man, I would also only marry a person named Yun Xiao. If she was a woman, she would marry Yun Xiao. If she was a man, she would definitely marry him. In this lifetime, the only person she had set her sights on was Yun Xiao. Pucci. Hong Wan could not help but laugh. Her eyes and brows curved into crescents. I really envy the relationship between you and your husband. In this lifetime, all I want is a pair of people for the rest of my life. If I don't have this pair of people, I'd rather not marry and spend the rest of my life alone. She would never compromise for the sake of anyone. Yin Luofeng was about to speak when he saw the sorrow on Hong Wan's face. But at that moment, a joyful voice rang out from the front. Chapter 1328. Luana, you're back? Hong Wan's body suddenly froze. She took a deep breath and hooked her arm around Yin Luofeng's. Her beautiful face revealed a smile as she looked at the person walking towards them. Long time no see, Ling Chun. It was a handsome man dressed in brocaded robes that accentuated his noble aura. He held a folding fan in his hand and had a graceful demeanor. He looked like a noble young master who had not been tainted by the filth of the world. Hong Wan, this is... Ling Chen turned to look at Yin Luofeng and frowned. His tone was filled with dissatisfaction. Hong Wan was full of smiles, but no emotions could be seen on her face. Even so, Yin Luofeng could feel that Hong Wan had tightened her grip on his arm. My man, Yin Luofeng. Hong Wan's words caused Ling Chen's handsome face to darken. Luana, don't forget that I'm your fiancé. Fiancé? Hong Wan sneered. Don't you already have a woman you love? Since you love her so deeply, you should take responsibility for her. Why do you still want to marry me? Ling Chen's expression did not look too good. He seemed to have thought of the woman he had given his heart to, and a trace of helplessness flashed in his eyes. Luana, our marriage was decided by our fathers. I can't defy them. However, my father promised me that Chu will be my concubine, and only you will be my official wife. Luana, I'm also very helpless. I hope you can understand. Hong Wan sneered. Don't you think that your actions will hurt the woman you love? No, Luana, you don't understand. Chu is very kind. In order to not make things difficult for me, she has already agreed to marry me. However, out of guilt towards her, I will first let her be my concubine. It is because of her understanding that I came to propose marriage. Ling Chun hurriedly explained, afraid that Hong Wan would reject the marriage. If she rejected, then his father would definitely not allow Chu to marry him. Hong Wan's eyes became even colder. You feel guilty towards Xia Chu, but not towards me. Why would I? Wan, you are the official wife, and she is only a concubine. Her position is below yours, so I feel guilty towards her. As for you, I have given you the most important position, so how could I owe you anything? Scram. Hong Wan's heart was filled with anger. Get lost. I will never marry a scum like you. Wan, Ling Chen panicked and wanted to go and pull Hong Wan back. However, before he could take a few steps, he was blocked by a snow-white figure. Yin Luofeng tightly gripped Ling Chen's hand, a cold look in his eyes. Hong Wan is one of my people. If you dare to touch her, I'll immediately cripple your arm. Ling Chen's eyes grew cold. Brat, Wan isn't someone you can match. If you know what's good for you, you'll bang. Before he could finish speaking, Hong Wan had already rushed in front of Ling Chun and viciously kicked him in the chest, sending him flying. Ling Chun, you disappoint me. I'll treat it as if I've never met you. Scram immediately. Hong Wan's eyes were domineering and her voice was filled with anger. Also, if you insult Yin Luofeng again, I'll make you speechless immediately. Ling Chun was stunned. He and Hong Wan had known each other for many years, and this was the first time this woman had attacked him in order to protect someone else. Especially, Hong Wan had even called this pretty boy her man. Wasn't this clearly betraying him? Chapter 1329. Luana. Ling Chun angrily stood up, pointing at Yin Luofeng as he spoke to Hong Wan. Is it because you have this pretty boy that you treat me so coldly? You weren't like this in the past. 10 years ago, you said that you wanted to marry me. Pretty boy? Yin Luofeng narrowed his eyes, a dangerous light flashing in his eyes. Ling Chun. Hong Wan's expression grew even colder as she stared at Ling Chen's handsome face and said icily, That's right, I did want to marry you back then, but that was 10 years ago. Do you think that because I had Yin Luofeng, I betrayed you? Wrong. The one who betrayed me was you. Ling Chen's heart was filled with rage. Wan, I'm a man. Which man doesn't have multiple wives and concubines? Women are different. Women have to be faithful to one person to the end of their life. Don't you understand this? Why should a man be able to have multiple women, but a woman has to be faithful to one person to the end of her life? Hong Wan, have never been willing to compromise. If I can't have one person for the rest of my life, then I won't marry. That's right. Even though she had deeply liked Ling Chun before, after he had fallen in love with another woman, she had hidden this love in her heart. But now, it seemed that her choice back then had been a wise one. When she was young, she had no idea that Ling Chun was such a disgusting scumbag. Multiple wives and concubines? Yin Luo Feng smirked as he evilly smiled. That's just an excuse for a man to be lecherous. What's the use of a man who can't even control his own desires? Hong Wan, it's better if you don't want this kind of person. Hong Wan coldly looked at Ling Chun. Don't bother me again, or I'll hit you every time you come. Wan, seeing Hong Wan and Yin Luo Feng turn and leave, Ling Chun anxiously cried out. However, his talent had always been inferior to Hong Wan's, and he didn't dare to offend her at a time like this. As such, he suppressed his impulses and anxiously watched the two of them leave. At this moment, the memories of him and Hong Wan appeared in Ling Chen's mind, as well as her every frown and smile. He didn't know why, but looking at Hong Wan's figure now, he felt a sense of anxiety. Young master, a servant hurried over. Ling Chen frowned. What happened? Miss Xiao's old illness has relapsed. What? Ling Chen's expression changed, and he immediately threw Hong Wan to the back of his mind. His eyes were filled with anxiety. Let's go. We need to return to the courtyard immediately. Many years ago, the two continent lords' mansions had wanted to unite by marriage. As such, the northern continent had built a courtyard in the eastern continent so that Ling Chun could come and visit them. Who would have thought that Ling Chun would fall in love with a commoner girl? And in order to break Hong Wan's heart, she rejected the marriage and left. At this moment, in the courtyard, just as Ling Chun walked in, he heard a violent cough. His voice made his heart clench fiercely. He hurriedly pushed the door open and entered. Chewer, how are you? Cough, cough. Hearing Ling Chen's words, the woman on the bed raised her head, a weak smile on her beautiful face. Young Masterling, why have you come back? You should go find Lady Hong Wan and clear up her misunderstanding. Chewer's illness is not a problem. Young Masterling need not worry. The woman in front of him couldn't compare to the peerless beauty Hong Wan. However, compared to Hong Wan's domineering aura, this kind of weak woman was exactly what men loved. Chapter 1330. No wonder Ling Chun was so infatuated with her. Compared to Hong Wan, Chewer, you're more important. Ling Chun quickly walked over to Xia Chu and held her delicate shoulders. His eyes were filled with heartache. If it wasn't for the fact that father promised me that he would only let you enter the family after I marry Hong Wan, I wouldn't have married her. She's too fierce and can't compare to you, Chu. Xia Chu buried her head in Ling Chen's chest, her expression weak. Young Masterling, it's Chu who has wronged you. If it wasn't for Chu, you and Hong Wan would already be married. If Hong Wan doesn't want Chu to stay, then Chu is willing to leave Young Master. As long as Young Master is well, Chu is willing to do anything. The woman raised her head, her eyes filled with tears, and her voice was so soft that it could make one's heart ache. What nonsense are you saying? I'll never leave you in this lifetime. It's just that you've wronged me as a concubine. Ling Chun tightly rubbed Xia Chu's shoulders. In this lifetime, the person I've wronged the most is you. Xia Chu shook her head. No, the only person you've wronged is Miss Hong Wan. Wronged her? Ling Chun coldly laughed. Isn't it enough for me to give her the position of main wife? Why must I only have her as my only woman? He even said that he would be with her for the rest of his life. What a joke, especially when Hong Wan went missing for a few years and hooked up with a pretty boy. What? Xia Chu covered her mouth in shock. Miss Hong Wan betrayed Young Master? How could she do such a despicable thing? Women are supposed to be faithful to one person and never betray their husband. After saying this, Xia Chu solemnly vowed, Young Master Ling Chun, don't worry. I'll never do anything to let you down. It's a pity that my family background isn't strong enough, so I can't become Young Master's main wife. Otherwise, I'll definitely take care of my husband's residence and help him find a concubine. What she meant was that Hong Luan had not done her duty as a main wife, and had actually stopped Ling Chun from taking a concubine. As a wife, shouldn't she help her husband take concubines and manage the residence? Even if Hong Luan was the big miss of the continent lord's residence, and even if she didn't follow Ling Chun to the southern continent after marrying him, she still had no right to stop Ling Chun. A wife must fulfill her duties, otherwise she would not be qualified to be a wife. If Hong Luan was as understanding as you, then I wouldn't have to worry so much. Ling Chun sighed, his face full of helplessness. Young Master Ling, Miss Hong Luan must be afraid that I will fight with her for the position. How about I go and have a heart-to-heart talk with her tomorrow? Hong Luan said gently as she held Ling Chen's hand. Ling Chen paused. Sure, your body isn't too good. It's fine. Chu Er's life was saved by young Master. So for young Master's sake, even if I'm sick, what harm is there in going to find her? Xiao Chu looked at Ling Chun in a daze, a smile on his pale face. If it was any other man who met such a considerate and infatuated woman like Xiao Chu, it would be hard for him not to be tempted. Ling Chen's heart was filled with gratitude. Chu Er, you've done so much for me. Don't worry, I'll definitely treat you well in the future. With young Master's words, Chu Er is relieved. Xiao Chu wrapped her arms around Ling Chen's neck and kissed him. The atmosphere in the room was full of ripples, and it was full of spring. Chapter 1331. In the restaurant and tea house. Hong Luan had just walked in when the waiter came out to welcome her. He greeted her respectfully. Miss Hong Luan, you're back. While I was away, did anyone touch my room? Hong Luan glanced at the waiter and asked. This. The waiter wiped the sweat off his forehead and looked at Hong Luan carefully. Miss Hong Luan, while you were away, young Master Ling Chun brought a lady here. I didn't dare to stop young Master Ling Chun, so Ling Chun brought a lady? A cold light flashed across Hong Luan's eyes. Her voice was domineering and soul-stirring. I don't like it when others touch my things. Throw away the tables and chairs immediately and replace them with new ones. I'll only give you 15 minutes. Don't let my friend wait too long. When the waiter heard this, he hurriedly agreed. Only then did he see the young man in white following closely behind Hong Luan. His eyes flashed with amazement. All these years, he had met many people, but he had never met a man who was so good-looking. He was even more beautiful than a woman. If you dare to look at her again, I'll poke your eyes blind. When Hong Luan saw the waiter staring at Yun Luofeng, her face immediately darkened. She shouted sternly, Also, since this room has been booked by me all year round, even if I'm not here, no one else has a right to use it. If you dare to let anyone in again, you can forget about keeping this restaurant open. Yin Luofeng, let's go. Hong Luan pulled Yin Luofeng's hand and walked towards the second floor. The corners of Yin Luofeng's lips curled into a devilish smile. She did not break free from Hong Luan's arm and allowed her to pull her into the room. Bang! Hong Luan kicked open the door of the room. Her cold eyes swept across the clean and plain room. Her willowy eyebrows were raised and her eyes were filled with anger. Looks like I can't wait for the people of the restaurant to clean up. I'm not happy just looking at these tables and chairs. Whoosh! Hong Luan's sleeves stirred up a hurricane which destroyed the tables and chairs. After that, she dusted her hands and turned to face the waiter who had just arrived. Her lips curled into a smile. Remember, I've given you money to reserve this room, so this room belongs to me. Without my permission, no one is allowed to enter. Scram immediately. The waiter scurried out in fear. Not long after, a group of people took the table and chairs away and replaced them with brand new ones for Hong Luan. Yun Luofeng. Hong Luan sat down and poured a cup of tea for Yun Luofeng. She raised an eyebrow and looked at him. Do you think I am too domineering? Yun Luofeng took a sip of tea and slowly put it down. What's wrong with being domineering? If someone dislikes your character, that only proves that he doesn't love you. Furthermore, you didn't do anything wrong. Since you gave the restaurant money, they have no right to give your things to others. So, you didn't do anything wrong. Hong Luan laughed. Her eyes were filled with joy. Yin Luofeng, I think we will become bosom friends in the future. Yin Luofeng narrowed his eyes slightly. I hope so. That's right. Hong Wan, do me another favor. Say it. As long as I can help you, I will definitely help you. Soul fruit. Help me look for the soul fruit. At the same time, help me investigate the background of the child who follows me. She would never be able to compare to the power in Hong Wan's hands if she were to investigate these matters herself. Chapter 1332. That was why she had asked Hong Wan to do this for her. Hong Wan blinked. It's not just one favor, it's two. If I help you with these two favors, what do I get in return? I'll help you deal with Ling Chun. However, I don't want to go against the Northern Continent, so I'll need you to personally deal with the Northern Continent. She could help Hong Wan deal with Ling Chun, but Ling Chun was the young master of the Northern Continent. As such, Hong Wan had to personally deal with the aftermath. Deal. Hong Wan's hand slammed heavily on the table. She was unable to control her strength, and the new table was once again split in half. Hong Wan's expression was a little awkward. I accidentally used too much strength. I'll immediately ask the people in the restaurant to change the table. Also, you don't have to worry about the Northern Continent attacking you. I, Hong Wan, am the future successor of the Eastern Continent. No matter how brave the Northern Continent is, they won't dare to touch someone I want to protect. Yun Luofeng raised an eyebrow. Your father wants you to marry Ling Chun so much. Isn't he afraid that the Eastern Continent will fall into the hands of the Northern Continent? No. Hong Wan shook her head. My marriage with Ling Chun is just a formality. Even after we're married, I won't be able to follow him to the Northern Continent. I'm my father's only daughter, so I definitely want to inherit the Eastern Continent. However, the situation in the Eastern Continent is very unstable. The reason my father wants us to unite by marriage is to ensure the relationship between the two continents. One was the future continent lord of the Eastern Continent, while the other was the successor of the Northern Continent. Their union would definitely tie the two great powers together. After Hong Wan finished explaining, she coldly harumphed. My father is really muddle-headed. He thinks that a marriage can solve all problems. I, Hong Wan, don't need a marriage to ask for help. Even if I have to rely on myself, I'll still make the Eastern Continent last for 1,000 years. When the woman said this, the domineering look in her eyes was revealed, and her soul-stirring voice echoed in the room. Miss Hong Wan. The waiter walked in from outside and respectfully said, The lady who came with young Master Ling Chun said that she wants to see you, Miss Hong Wan. Hong Wan was startled. Xiachu? Why is she here? Let her in. Yin Luofeng took a sip of tea and asked, What do you think of this Xiachu's character? I'm not sure. Hong Wan shook her head. I've only met her a few times, so I don't know her well. Furthermore, I don't have any ill feelings towards Xiachu. It's all that scumbag Ling Chen's fault. She's also a victim. In her heart, there was only one person she hated, Ling Chun. Even though Xiachu had obtained Ling Chen's heart, she still didn't hate her. Hong Wan had always thought that Xiachu was just a pitiful person. After a while, a woman was led in by a waiter. The woman was dressed in a green Confucian dress with a purple belt around her waist. Her black hair fluttered in the wind, and as she walked, her figure was graceful and her slender waist could be faintly seen. After entering the room, the woman gently raised her head. It was also at this moment that Yun Luofeng clearly saw the woman's appearance. Even though her beauty could not be compared to Hong Wan's enchanting and peerless elegance, it was undeniable that this kind of gentle beauty would cause the hearts of countless men to move. Her pair of beautiful eyes were filled with faint tears, and her gentle and beautiful face was slightly pale. Her delicate and pitiful appearance made people feel pity for her. Chapter 1333. However, Yin Luofeng had met many such gentle and beautiful women over the years. Compared to such women, he preferred the domineering Hong Wan. At least Hong Wan was very real and would never use her pitiful appearance to attract the attention of others. Thump. Xiachu knelt down in front of Hong Wan without saying a word. Her eyes were filled with tears as she pleaded. Miss Hong Wan, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have taken young Master Ling Chun away. Actually, the person young Master Ling Chun wants to marry is you. Please give him a chance. I beg you. At this moment, there were many people walking to and fro outside the box. Now that they heard Xia Chu's words, they could not help but stop in their tracks and look over. Hong Wan's expression gradually became cold. To be honest, I pitied you before. After all, you were also harmed by Ling Chun, and he couldn't marry you. But now, I won't pity you anymore. Isn't there a saying that goes, a pitiful person must have a hateful side? Xia Chu was stunned. She bit her lips. Miss Hong Wan, young Master Ling Chun still has you in his heart. If you don't want to see me, I can disappear and never appear in front of young Master Ling Chun again. I just beg you to give him a chance. Hong Wan narrowed her eyes, and anger gradually appeared in her beautiful eyes. Just as she was about to explode in anger, a hand suddenly landed on her back. An evil voice sounded next to her ear. I said before, I'll get rid of these two people for you. Hong Wan was stunned. She looked at Yin Luo Feng and chose to retreat to the back. Xia Chu raised her head, and her gaze slowly fell on the handsome young man's face. In that instant, her heart seemed to have been violently pounded, and her face was dyed red. No wonder Hong Wan had become so disdainful of Ling Chun. It turned out that she had unknowingly seduced such a handsome young man. It was such a pity that such a handsome young man was with a shrew like Hong Wan. Yin Luo Feng lightly stroked his chin and looked at the kneeling Xia Chu with a smile that did not seem like a smile. You want Hong Wan to marry Ling Chun. Is it because of your own selfishness, or is it because of Ling Chun? Xia Chu's gaze was sincere and sincere. Everything I do is for young Master Ling Chun. Furthermore, as long as Miss Hong Wan is willing to marry him, I can leave this place without asking for anything. I will never see him again. All right, since that's the case, you can leave. Yin Luofeng nodded and said seriously. Xia Chu's expression changed on the spot. She clenched her fists tightly, restraining the anger and indignation in her heart. Why? Just because his family was inferior to Hong Wan, he had to suffer such grievances? Hong Wan could only reincarnate. If she was the young miss of the continent Lord Manor, then Hong Wan would definitely be inferior to her in every aspect. Young Master, I also want to leave young Master Ling Chun, but Xia Chu loosened his fist, took out a handkerchief, and wiped the tears from his eyes. Young Master Ling Chun doesn't want to let me go. The smile on Yun Luofeng's face became more and more demonic. She looked at the crowd. Everyone, I'm sure you all heard her clearly. She kept saying that Hong Wan wouldn't give Ling Chun a chance. Now that she has given him a chance, she rejected it herself. You can't blame Hong Wan for this. Xia Chu looked down, his eyes filled with hatred. She was just casually saying that because she knew that Hong Wan would think that Ling Chun's body was not clean and would definitely refuse. Moreover, she didn't really want to ask Hong Wan to marry Ling Chun. She just wanted Ling Chun to know her determination. This way, even if the continent lord objected, Ling Chun would not hesitate to let her marry him. Chapter 1334. However, she never thought that this young man would agree on Hong Wan's behalf. The onlookers also reacted to Yun Luo Feng's words and immediately turned to Xia Chu. Miss, with your status, you're not good enough for young Master Ling Chun. Why don't you just leave? That's right, this young master is right. Just then, you said that in order to help them, you wanted to leave young Master Ling Chun. Now that you've been given the chance, why aren't you willing to leave? Tisk TSK, do you even need to think about it? She never planned to leave from the start, and was just putting on an act. How could someone like her compare to Miss Hong Wan? If this was anywhere else, perhaps some people would think that Xia Chu was pitiful and would stand on her side. However, this was the Eastern continent. Although Hong Wan was domineering, she was also very protective. As long as it was a citizen of the Eastern continent, no matter who was in trouble, she would not be stingy. Because of this, she was loved and respected by the citizens of the Eastern continent. As such, Xia Chu wanted to guide the public opinion, but found the wrong place. Why? Xia Chu stood up from the ground. She staggered as tears flowed down her pale face. Just because I'm not powerful enough, I have to be bullied? I don't even have the right to be with my lover? Is it wrong to fall in love with someone? Yun Luo Feng crossed his arms and looked at Xia Chu. Firstly, you said that you wanted to leave, and no one forced you to. Secondly, since you love Ling Chen so deeply, it's enough for you to be with him forever. Why did you come to harass Hong Wan? Aren't you asking for it? Xia Chu's body trembled. I just wanted to help young Master Ling Chen. All right, I'll give you another chance. If you can kneel here for 5 days and 5 nights, I might consider giving Hong Wan to him. Yin Luo Feng held Hong Wan's hand and walked towards the door. Let's go. Our mood has been ruined, and we don't have the mood to stay. When she walked to Xia Chu's side, she stopped and said in a low voice, I won't let anyone hurt Hong Wan, so if you want to die, I don't mind killing you. After saying this, the young man in white passed through the crowd and disappeared from Xia Chu's sight. On the bustling street, Hong Wan struggled free from Yun Luofeng's grasp. She stopped in her tracks and raised her head to look at him. Yin Luofeng, just now, thank you very much. If it were her, she would have definitely attacked Xia Chu after being provoked. But Yin Luofeng was different. Even if she did not make a move, Xia Chu would be badly injured. This caused Xia Chu, who originally had the upper hand, to fall into a disadvantageous position. Hong Wan. Yin Luofeng turned his head and looked at the woman in red behind him. In order to enter the Northern Continent's Continent Lord's Mansion, Xia Chu will definitely kneel in a restaurant for 5 days and 5 nights. When that time comes, get someone to watch over her. Also, be prepared to be blamed by Ling Chun. Hong Wan smiled. I used to think highly of Ling Chun, but later on, I realized that I was blind. That scum's words can no longer hurt me, and... She paused for a moment before continuing. You did the right thing. Ling Chun loves Xia Chu. If I force Xia Chu to kneel for 5 days and 5 nights, Ling Chun will definitely become furious. From now on, I can also get rid of his pestering. Hong Wan sighed. Her voice was a little sad. They used to be childhood sweethearts. Why did things have to escalate to such an extent? Chapter 1335. Hong Wan. Yin Luofeng thought for a moment, then said, Ling Chun came to find you today, but he left because of an urgent matter. I asked around. It was said that Xia Chu's old illness had relapsed, so he left in a hurry. However, I saw Xia Chu's body today, and her body is so weak because she took a medicinal herb called Luo Songflower. Luo Songflower? Hong Wan was stunned. What is this Luo Songflower? A medicinal herb that can fake a weak body. In other words, in order to get Ling Chun to go back, she purposely took the Luo Tsong flower to fake her illness. Other than that, there is nothing wrong with her body. So I want to ask, when you and Ling Chun met, did Xia Chu often use this excuse to get him back? Hong Wan was silent for a long time, then nodded. Indeed, a few years ago, Ling Chun accidentally saved Xia Chu, and the two of them had feelings for each other. Xia Chu got pregnant before marriage, and Ling Chun wanted to take her as a concubine, but the Continent Lord's Mansion did not agree, and even put Ling Chun under house arrest, causing Xia Chu to miscarry in grief. Since then, she has been sick and weak. Because of this, Ling Chun feels so guilty towards her, always thinking that he harmed her. After saying this, she raised her beautiful eyes and looked at Yun Luofeng seriously. So, you said that there is nothing wrong with her body. Is that true? I'm very sure that there is nothing wrong with her body. Yun Luofeng's words caused Hong Wan's heart to tremble. She, who had pitied Xia Chu, had now placed her sympathy on Ling Chun. So, Ling Chun is just an idiot and was fooled around by a woman. This woman is really scheming. She knew that she had lost her child and could not use the child to enter the Northern Continent Prefecture. So she pretended to be sick to make Ling Chun feel guilty. Yin Luofeng lightly stroked his chin. Hong Wan, this Luo Tsong flower is not a very magical medicinal herb, but did the Continent Lord's Mansion not have any doctors to diagnose her? Hong Wan shook her head. At that time, Ling Chun felt very guilty and wanted to let the Continent Lord's Mansion doctors treat her, but Xia Chu desperately refused. She said that her status was low and that she was not worthy of those noble doctors treating her. Moreover, if she used the power of the Continent Lord's Mansion, the continent lord would definitely not allow her to enter the northern continent. Because of this, Ling Chun was incredibly moved, and he wanted to give Xia Chu all of his love. I finally understand why Ling Chun didn't choose you, Yin Luo Feng said as he blinked. It's because you won't act pitiful like Xia Chu, nor will you say things that other people like to hear. However, one day, you'll meet someone who appreciates your straightforward personality. Because Hong Wan was too straightforward, she was at a disadvantage in the contest with Xia Chu. However, Yin Luo Feng liked her personality. At least when he was with her, he was very relaxed. You're right, Hong Wan raised her eyebrows and smiled. Do you think that I, Hong Wan, can't find an outstanding man? Who is Ling Chun? Why should I compromise for him? He likes hypocritical women like Xia Chu, so I'll fulfill his wish. Yin Luo Feng, let's go. There's someone I don't like in this restaurant. Let's go somewhere else. A rose-like smile blossomed on Hong Wan's face. She held Yin Luofeng's hand tightly and walked quickly towards another restaurant. After entering the restaurant, Yin Luofeng finally understood what it meant to be heroic. Chapter 1336. In the Eastern Continent, Hong Wan had reserved a private room in every restaurant. This was so that she wouldn't have to use other people's items. When all of the dishes were served, they looked, smelled, and tasted great. Hong Wan looked at Yin Luo Feng and raised her eyebrows. You don't like this restaurant's food? Yin Luo Feng put a mouthful in his mouth and shook his head. No, I just miss someone's cooking. After leaving Yin Xiao, she still couldn't get used to the food outside. Of course, if it was anyone else, after tasting Yin Xiao's cooking, they probably wouldn't be able to eat it either. It was like heaven and earth. That's right. Yin Luo Feng, where did Huli go? Yin Luo Feng put down his chopsticks. He's not far from me, so he won't appear by my side for now. Before she found out who Wu was, she wouldn't let him near her. As for Hu Li, she was sent to keep an eye on Wu. You suspect that child's identity, so you sent Hu Li to keep an eye on him. Aren't you afraid that Hu Li will be in danger? Hong Wan asked curiously. Yin Luo Feng smiled. If there's really something wrong with this child, then his target is me. As such, he won't go and harm Hu Li. This was why he didn't worry about Hu Li being alone with him. By the time Yin Luo Feng and Hong Wan returned to the Continent Lord's residence, it was already quite late. Just as the two of them stepped through the door, a figure rushed towards them like a madman. Hong Wan! Ling Chun let out a roar of anger and quickly rushed in front of Hong Wan. His tightly clenched fists made cracking sounds, and his eyes were bloodshot. Why did you do this? Why did you punish Chu Air like this? She only came to find you because of me. How could you be so cruel to a kind-hearted woman like her? Ling Chun was so angry that his body trembled. I want you to beg Chu Air to get up. Otherwise, when I force her to get up, she'll threaten me with suicide. She even said that without your order, she won't dare to get up. Come with me to beg her to get up. He didn't use please, but beg. Just as Ling Chun grabbed Hong Wan's arm and was about to take her away, Hong Wan's gaze became cold, and she flung his hand away. My Feng said that if she knelt for 5 days and 5 nights, Feng would consider giving me to you. However, I didn't force her to kneel. This is her own choice and has nothing to do with me. At that time, Yin Luo Feng had only said that he would consider it. It was not an absolute sentence. Even if Xia Chu knelt for 5 days and 5 nights, Yin Luo Feng still wouldn't hand the Hong Wan over to Ling Chun. Ling Chun raised his hand and viciously slapped Hong Wan. Just as his hand was about to land on Hong Wan's face, Hong Wan raised her hand and grabbed the man's wrist tightly. Ling Chun, our friendship ends here. I don't owe you anything. Hong Wan suddenly exerted force, causing Ling Chun to take a few steps back. He gripped his wrist, which had been bruised by Hong Wan's grip, and raised his eyes to look at the gradually disappearing red dress. He didn't know why, but when he saw the woman's heartless face, his heart felt empty in an instant. Even Ling Chun didn't know where this feeling came from. Eldest Mississippi, suddenly, a guard walked out and cupped his fist towards Hong Wan. He respectfully said, Eldest miss, the continent lord has invited you and young Master Yun to make a trip. Father is looking for me? Hong Wan was stunned. She turned to look at Yun Luo Feng and asked, if you want to go with me, then we'll go now. If you're not willing, then no one can force you. Chapter 1337. Let's go. Yun Luo Feng shrugged. Since the continent lord wanted her to go with Hong Wan, there was no harm in her going. Hong Wan did not say much, but she had already made up her mind. If her father really made things difficult for Yun Luo Feng, she would stand by her father's side regardless of the consequences. This was the promise she had made to her before. A gentleman's word was worth 1,000 gold, and she could not go back on it. The atmosphere in the study was solemn. A middle-aged man stood with his hands behind his back facing the door. His aura was imposing and unapproachable. This was the second time Yun Luo Feng had seen Continent Lord Hong Ling, the person who commanded the winds and clouds in the East Continent. Hong Ling seemed to have sensed their arrival and slowly turned around. At this moment, she was no longer as aggressive as before, and her expression was one of helplessness as she sighed heavily. Luan, are you really not willing to marry Ling Chun? When Hong Wan first returned to the Continent Lord's mansion, he was so angry that he could not help but berate her. Now that he had calmed down, in order to not force his daughter to leave again, he could only suppress his anger and ask helplessly. Hearing this, Hong Wan nodded heavily. Yes, I will not marry Ling Chun. Wan, in the future, the 7 continents will undergo great changes. If you marry Ling Chun and unite the 2 continents, you will be able to survive in the 7 continents. Hong Ling's expression gradually became serious. Otherwise, the East Continent will be destroyed. Hong Luan sneered. Father, if you want the East Continent to survive the great changes in the 7 continents in the future, you'll have to marry your daughter. If it were someone else, it would be fine. But I, Hong Luan, will never use marriage to seek peace. Great changes in the 7 continents? When Yun Luo Feng heard these words, he secretly paid attention, but he still stood by Hong Luan without saying a word. Luan, Hong Ling's eyes were filled with anger. You are only a woman. No matter how talented you are, how can you support the entire East Continent with your own strength? But I only have one daughter, you. If you don't marry Ling Chun, how can I die in peace? Hong Wan did not expect her father to be so stubborn, and her expression became colder. I said, with my own strength, I don't need the North Continent's help. One day, I'll be able to make the Eastern Continent stand at the top of the 7 continents with my own strength. Forget it. This peerless expert, whose name shook the world, was now completely helpless against his daughter, who was in her rebellious phase. He knew his daughter's temper. Once she set her mind on something, she would not turn back even if she died. Wan, if you don't suffer, you won't turn back. Even I can't do anything to you. Hong Ling smiled bitterly. Even though he was very strict with his daughter, she was his only daughter after all. Was he going to put her on the bridal sedan? I won't bother with your business anymore. Also, you have to deal with the matter between you and Ling Chen on your own. Also, the Northern Continent Lord will personally visit you in a few days to cancel the engagement. Have you thought of a way to reject him? Tactfully refuse? Why should I refuse? Hong Wan sneered. I won't marry. Even if the Emperor of Heaven comes, I won't marry. Hong Ling shook her head helplessly. Only then did she look at Yun Luo Feng. At this moment, perhaps because Yun Luo Feng found the conversation between the father and daughter boring, she casually pulled a chair and sat down. Her body leaned lazily against the back of the chair, and her evil eyes seemed to look down on the world. Chapter 1338. However, Yun Luofeng's arrogant attitude displeased Hong Ling, and her face darkened. When they first met, because Yun Luo Feng and Hong Wan didn't stay for long, he didn't get a good look at Yun Luo Feng. Now, he could carefully scan Yun Luo Feng from head to toe. However, a jade pendant on the youth's waist fell into his eyes. The word June was clearly engraved on the jade pendant, causing his pupils to shrink. You're from the June family of Spirit State? The June family of Spirit State? Yun Luo Feng froze. Her gaze gradually fell on the jade pendant on her body, her eyes filled with suspicion. This jade pendant was given to her by June Fengling. Could there be a problem? What is the June family of spirit state? Yun Luofeng's evil eyes twitched as he asked. The Lord of Spirit State is surnamed June. Hong Ling stared at Yun Luofeng. Now tell me, where did you get this jade pendant? Yun Luofeng caressed the jade pendant and faintly raised his lips. It's something my mother has carried with her since she was young. Is there a problem? June Fengling was Yun Zhao's mother, so naturally, she was also her mother. She couldn't say that it was a gift from her mother-in-law, so she called June Fengling mother. Hong Ling's pupils shrank, but returned to normal in the blink of an eye. If you want to know the origin of this jade pendant, you could go to the June family of spirit state. You will naturally find the answers you want there. In addition, the June family has offended many people. I advise you to take off this jade pendant to avoid being discovered by your enemies. Yun Luofeng's eyes narrowed, and he pondered for a moment. The June family of spirit state? It seemed that after she found Yin Xiao, she had to make a trip to spirit state. Find an answer. After Yun Luofeng left the study, Hong Wan seemed to see that her father had something to say, so she stayed behind and asked in a low voice, Father, what is the matter with the June family that you speak of? Hong Ling sighed. Many years ago, the old master of the June family offended the former continent lord of the spirit state. As a result, he was hunted by countless masters of the spirit state. At that time, his wife was killed by the former continent lord. In order to protect his infant daughter's life, the old master of the June family had no choice but to give her to an old friend. Later, the old man of the June family went back to seek revenge on the former continent lord and annihilated the entire continent lord's mansion. That's why he became the continent lord of spirit state. However, he never moved away from the June family. Therefore, when people mention the continent lord's mansion, they refer to it as the June family of spirit state. But he has already become the rightful continent lord. All these years, the old man still missed his late wife and never remarried. He even searched everywhere for his daughter's whereabouts. However, not to mention his daughter, even his old friend had disappeared without a trace. So, the missing daughter of the June family is the biggest sore in his heart. And now, the June family's jade pendant has appeared in Yun Luofeng's hands. Could it be that her mother is the daughter of Old Man June? Hong Wan was a little surprised. She had not expected Yun Luofeng to have such an identity. She was silent for a moment, and then asked, Are you sure that Yun Luofeng's mother is a daughter of the June family? That jade pendant couldn't have come from someone else in the June family? Hong Ling shook her head. The word June on this jade pendant was carved with a special technique. Especially since this jade pendant can withstand an attack from a strong master. Do you think that an ordinary person of the June family could have such a jade pendant? Hong Wan blinked her eyes. Father, should we inform the June family about this? Chapter 1339. In fact, Hong Wan didn't want to inform the June family just to give Yun Luofeng a guarantee. More importantly, she was very fond of Grandpa June. The old man's wife had been dead for so many years, but he had always kept to his heart and never married. After he took his revenge, he wholeheartedly searched for his daughter, and he had not given up even now. How could she not be moved by this spirit? There is no doubt that this jade pendant came from Old Man June. However, whether or not Yun Luofeng's mother is the young miss of the June family still needs to be verified. Moreover, after Old Man June handed over the June family to his disciple, he left the spirit state. His whereabouts are still a mystery. Finding him is easier said than done. Hong Ling shook her head and sighed helplessly. The old man of the June family had always been traveling among the continents. Even the June family didn't know where he was. Moreover, he only had his own disciple's daughter with him. Looking for him was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Father, no matter what, we must inform the June family. The June family will surely have a way to find Grandpa June. Hong Wan's expression was firm. If Yun Luofeng had the June family as his backing, then he would be able to walk unhindered in the 7 continents. Who would dare to bully and humiliate her? All right. Hong Ling's eyes flashed. Hong Wan, You should build a good relationship with Yin Luofeng. If he really is the daughter of the Jun family's eldest daughter, there's no harm in marrying him. Hong Ling became more and more excited as she spoke. The spirit state was ranked near the top of the 7 continents. If they could ally with the Jun family, it would be much better than the northern continent. However, before he could restrain his excitement, Hong Wan sprayed a basin of cold water at him. First, my relationship with Yin Luofeng has always been pretty good. Secondly, the Jun family is the Jun family, and Yin Luofeng is Yin Luofeng. It doesn't matter if she's a member of the Jun family or not. I'm different from you. You place too much importance on power. In my eyes, power is not as important as friendship. If you chase after power too much, then how much can you achieve in this life? After being taught a lesson by her own daughter, Hong Ling's face turned green and white. Anger surged in her heart. Father, we are cultivators, and cultivators should do as they please. Too many distracting thoughts will only make it difficult for us to move forward. If you insist on making me become like you, then I don't want the position of continent lord. I believe that with my strength, I can also step onto the peak of the continent. Hong Wan had long disliked Hong Ling's pursuit of fame and fortune. From her point of view, cultivation was about following one's heart. Regardless of whether Yin Luofeng was a member of the Jun family or not, she would always consider him as a friend. It would never change. If there was a reason why she valued Yin Luofeng so much, it was probably because of the battle in the inn. This battle caused her to feel a sense of kinship with Yin Luofeng. Furthermore, after interacting with him for the past few days, she understood that they were the same kind of people. Furthermore, in that battle, she and Yin Luofeng had fought to a draw, and her goal was to defeat her one day. Luan, are you? Hong Ling slammed the table and stood up, glaring at her angrily. Hong Wan remained unmoved as she smiled. Father, I won't use any of the Jun family's power for you if Yin Luofeng is a member of the Jun family. But she's the only person I can call a friend if she isn't a member of the Jun family. The people she had met in the past were all people who tried to curry favor with her for the sake of the power of the Continent Lord's mansion. Only Yin Luofeng could become her friend. Chapter 1340. Hong Ling was even more furious. She slammed her hand on the table, splitting it into 2. However, Hong Wan turned around and left, not caring about Hong Ling's anger. Rebellious. This girl is rebellious. She dared to talk to her father like that, and she even dared to teach him a lesson. Hong Ling was furious. How could she stand at the peak of the continent without power? How could she have gotten to this point with the strength of one person? How could she have become so powerful if the continent lord hadn't provided her with the conditions to cultivate? Hong Ling became angrier the more he thought about it. He never believed that a person at the bottom could rely on their own strength to reach the peak. He also didn't believe that without the nurturing of the family, she would have much strength. A golden phoenix could never climb out of a mountain village. A phoenix could only be created with countless treasures. Forget it. I don't care about you anymore. You can do whatever you want. I risked my life to ask for a marriage alliance with the northern continent, and I also asked for the Jun family's help. Wasn't it all for you? I've done so much, but you don't appreciate it at all. Your stubbornness is exactly like your mother's. I owe you and your mother in this life. Hong Wan let out a heavy sigh and sat down. At this moment, this powerful person was like a helpless father facing his rebellious daughter. He could only let her make her life choices. Hong Wan looked very tired after she left the study. She had just opened the door when she saw the young man in white sitting in her room, sipping tea. Yin Luofeng? Hong Wan was startled. Why are you in my room? Yin Luofeng put down his teacup and looked up at Hong Wan. What do you mean by the great changes of the 7 continents? Hong Wan walked in and poured herself a cup of tea. She took a sip before putting it down. The great changes of the 7 continents happened once 1,000 years ago. Hong Wan looked at Yin Luofeng. Do you know that there's a terrifying existence suppressed under the 7 continents? These existences only awaken once every 1,000 years. When they awaken, it will be a disaster for the entire mainland. However, no one knows when they will awaken. My father is afraid that I won't be able to deal with these existences when he is no longer around. That's why he wants to form a marriage alliance with the Northern Continent, hoping to borrow the power of the Northern Continent to help me. Yin Luofeng frowned deeply. This was the first time she had heard of such a thing. Actually, I know that my father is doing this for my own good. However, I am not willing to listen to his orders. I do not believe that I will not be able to fight against those existences with my strength. Hong Wan laughed and explained. Yun Luofeng raised an eyebrow. It seems like there isn't just this conflict between you and your father. Hong Wan was stunned. She shrugged helplessly. You found out. Because my mother was killed by him, I have never had a good impression of him since I was young. Your mother? That's right. My mother has an unyielding temperament, and her temper is even hotter than mine. She's also very powerful. Back then, she fought for the Eastern Continent with my father's help. However, in order to make his powerful subordinates loyal to him forever and never betray him, my father decided to take their daughter as a concubine. How could a person like my mother allow her man to have multiple wives? She left my father in a fit of anger. Later, in order to prove to my father that he does not need to rely on a marriage alliance to consolidate his power, she forcefully broke through, causing her body to explode and her soul to be destroyed. Chapter 1341. If a person died, he or she could be reborn, but if the soul was destroyed, it was the same as disappearing from the world. Hong Wan laughed coldly. I was still young back then and did not remember my mother very well. But she was my mother after all. How could I not hate her? Sometimes, I really did not want her to be my father. Yin Luofeng took a sip of tea and continued to listen to Hong Wan. Perhaps it was retribution. All these years, my father had countless concubines, but none of them had children. Hong Wan's smile became even colder. Yin Luofeng, tell me, how can men be so heartless? My mother fought for this world with him. After he obtained this world, he wanted to take a concubine in the blink of an eye. Is power and influence really that important to a man? At this moment, a handsome yet cold face appeared in Yun Luofeng's mind, and his lips curled into a smile. If he loved you, he would give up the world for you. If he did not love you, in his eyes, you are not as important as the world. That year, when he first met Yin Xiao, she was just a trash with a bad reputation. But he was a high and mighty ghost emperor. For her, he was willing to lower his status and become the man behind her back. If she asked, this man would definitely conquer the world for her. In this life, with a husband like this, what else could she ask for? Yin Luofeng, I just told my father that if he forced me again, I would give up the Continent Lord's mansion. Actually, I was just scaring him. I'm his only daughter, if not the Continent Lord's mansion. Who else would he give it to? Although I did not care about power, this Continent Lord's mansion, I must take it. Hong Wan's gaze became resolute. Because the East Continent belongs to my mother, I will not let anyone take advantage of it. What a joke. How could she give up the East Continent? For her mother, she would not give up the East Continent. I believe in your strength. Yun Luofeng smiled slightly. With Hong Wan's power, she could indeed achieve great things in the future. But who knew? Would there be a man who could move her heart again? But Ling Chun was no longer her choice. Mississippi, a servant pushed open the door and hurriedly reported, young Master Ling Chun is still at the door, unwilling to leave. Don't worry about him, Hong Wan sneered. If he likes to wait, let him wait. I want to see how long he can wait. According to Ling Chen's personality, he'll definitely leave within 6 hours. Hong Wan seemed to have overestimated Ling Chun. Let alone 6 hours, he didn't even wait for 2 hours before hurrying to the restaurant to persuade Xia Chu. However, Xia Chu had already made up his mind that he would not get up until the 5th day. Because of this, Ling Chen's hatred towards Hong Wan increased by a few levels. As for the emptiness in his heart, it had long since been thrown to the back of his mind. Hong Wan, just you wait. Today, you've treated Xia Chu this way. In the future, I'll make you pay 1,000 times over, he said hatefully. At this moment, Ling Chun, whose eyes were filled with flames of fury, didn't notice the sinister and pleased look in Xia Chu's eyes. Hong Wan, Your character is too overbearing and unreasonable, and men will never like a woman like you. As long as I use some tricks, even the peerless white-robed young man next to you will become mine." At this moment, an arrogant and confident face appeared in Xia Chu's mind, and a look of infatuation appeared in her eyes. This was the first time she had seen such a peerless young man. Chapter 1342. The incredibly handsome Ling Chun in her eyes, compared to her, was like the clouds and mud. That young man was like a celestial being. Even a single glance from him was enough to make one's heart flutter. It was a pity that the young man's family was not as good as Ling Chen's. It was because of this that she had suppressed the impulse in her heart that day. However, if she could spend a night with the young man, she would be satisfied. As for Yun Luo Feng's protection of Hong Wan and disdain towards her, it was not very important to her. No man could resist a woman who was as gentle as water. It was a pity that Xia Chu did not know that Yun Luo Feng was a woman. It was because she did not know that she did something that she would regret for the rest of her life. 5 days later, the crowd in the bustling restaurant had long since dispersed. Ling Chen's heart ached as he helped Xia Chu up. He gritted his teeth. "Chu, don't worry. After I marry Hong Wan, I'll teach her a lesson for you." Xia Chu lowered her head. Her fine black hair fell down, covering her pale face. "Young Master Ling Chun, I've already completed the task that Miss Hong Wan gave me. I'll go with you to see her now. Also, I want to talk to that young Master Yin. I hope that he'll keep his promise and give Miss Hong Wan to you." "No." Ling Chun hurriedly grabbed Xia Chu's hand. "How can I let you go and see that guy? You're so pretty. What if he has ill intentions and bullies you?" Xia Chu bitterly smiled. "Young master, if he really wants to do something that's worse than an animal to me, then wouldn't it be better to let Miss Hong Wan know who he is? I won't agree. Leave this matter to me." "Chu, you don't have to worry about it." Ling Chen frowned. Xia Chu was his daughter. How could he allow his woman to see a stranger? As such, he would never agree. "Young master, if you go and find him, you're both love rivals. How could he give Miss Hong Wan to you?" Xia Chu shook her head. Actually, what he said that day was that if I knelt for 5 days and 5 nights, he'd consider giving Hong Wan to me. He didn't say that he'd definitely give her up. Ling Chen's heart trembled. "Then why did you have to suffer for 5 days?" "Young master, I won't give up even if there's a sliver of hope for you." Xia Chu bit his lips and continued. "Besides, it's best if I persuade young Master Yin to let go. However, you need to keep Hong Wan occupied during that period of time. Otherwise, with Hong Wan's temper, she will definitely not allow young Master Yin to do such a thing." "Chua." Ling Chun tightly hugged Xia Chu. "You've done so much for me. How could I have met such a kind and virtuous person?" Xia Chu buried her head in Ling Chen's chest, unable to see the expression in her eyes. "You're the love of my life, and for you, Chu is willing to go to hell without fear." Xia Chu raised her head, looking at Ling Chun with tears in her eyes. "Don't worry, young master. Since Chu has decided to follow you, I'll definitely keep myself pure for you. If that young man really wants to molest Chu won't let him get away with it." Ling Chun thought for a moment, then said, "All right, then I'll send someone to protect you in secret." Xia Chu's eyes flickered. "Young master, don't let your leave get too close to me. Otherwise, he'll definitely find out. If he sees young master's men, Tai Pin won't let go of Miss Hong Wan. For young master, Chu is willing to give it her all." Chapter 1343. Continent Lord's Mansion. In the West Court, just as Hong Wan was about to look for Yun Luo Feng, a figure suddenly appeared in front of her, blocking her way. She frowned. "Who let you in?" Whenever Ling Chen thought about what Hong Wan had done to Xia Chu, he would feel a surge of anger in his heart. However, when he thought about his purpose in coming to the Continent Lord's Mansion, he suppressed his anger. "Hong Wan, this time I'm not here to bother you, nor to cause trouble for you. I just want to have a talk with you." As for Xia Chu, he had already sent people to follow him, so that brat would not be able to do anything to Xia Chu. "What do I have to talk to you about?" Hong Wan coldly laughed and turned to walk away from Ling Chun. Ling Chun hurriedly took 2 steps forward, continuing to block her way. "Get out of my way." Hong Wan's expression was cold as she shouted. Ling Chen looked to Hong Wan. Hong Wan, before, you wouldn't have insulted me, nor would you have hurt an innocent girl out of jealousy. You've changed. You've become incredibly cruel and merciless. Is all of this because of that kid surnamed Yin? Hearing this, Hong Wan laughed, her laughter full of mockery. That's because you don't know me well enough. Ling Chun, I'll give you a chance. Get out of my continent, Lord's mansion. From today onwards, we'll be like strangers, and we'll have nothing to do with each other. Hong Wan, seeing that Hong Wan was about to turn and leave, Ling Chun anxiously shouted, You really don't care about our past friendship? Hong Wan stopped in her tracks, a trace of doubt in her heart. If it was the Ling Chun in the past, he would definitely be furious after what she had done to Xia Chu, but now, he did not seem to be angry at all. Instead, it seemed that he did not want her to leave. Why? Mississippi. A servant girl hurriedly ran over from the side and whispered something into Hong Wan's ear. After hearing this, Hong Wan's eyes shone, and she looked at Ling Chun strangely. Originally, Ling Chun thought that Hong Wan would not stay, but after hearing what the servant said, she was not in a hurry to leave. The smile on her face was sinister, and her eyes were full of smiles. You said you wanted to talk to me? Hong Wan looked at Ling Chun with a smile that didn't seem like a smile. All right, I'll talk to you now. Seeing Hong Wan's change, Ling Chun felt a bit uneasy, but he didn't know why. Could it be that Hong Wan knew that Chu Er had gone to find Yin Luo Feng? No, this was impossible. Based on Hong Wan's personality, if she knew that another woman had gone to her man's place, she would definitely not be able to control herself and rush over aggressively. Therefore, perhaps Hong Wan was really willing to have a chat with him. Ling Chun smiled. As long as he could stall her, Chu would have a way to make Yin Luo Feng give up on Hong Wan. In the room, the girl sat on a chair. Her ears twitched slightly, and she heard footsteps coming from outside the door. The door was pushed open by a lily-white hand, and not long after, a gentle and beautiful woman in a green scholarly dress appeared in her room. At this moment, the woman's eyes were filled with tears. Her gaze was weak and helpless as she gazed at Yin Luo Feng. Yin Luo Feng took a sip of tea and asked indifferently, Was it Ling Chun who brought you in? Xia Chu bit her lip. Young master left me alone for Miss Hong Wan. I accidentally came here and didn't know that this was young master Yun's residence. Please forgive me, young master. Chapter 1344. Ling Chun went to see Hong Wan. Yin Luo Feng asked with raised brows. Xia Chu nodded gently. The two of them were playing hand in hand. I felt that I was unnecessary, so I left. Logically speaking, when a man hears that his woman was playing hand in hand with another man, he would definitely be filled with jealousy. However, Yin Luo Feng continued to gracefully play with the teacup in his hand, a careless smile on his peerless face. Xia Chu's eyes flashed. Yin Luo Feng did not seem to care about Hong Wan at all. Did that mean that their relationship was very shallow? That she could enter at any time? After a long while, Yin Luo Feng put down the teacup in his hand. If there's nothing else, you may leave. Sir Yin. Suddenly, Xia Chu threw herself at Yin Luo Feng. However, she did not throw herself into the young man's arms. Instead, she knelt in front of him. Sir Yin, actually from the first time I saw you, Chu understood what it means to be a celestial being. Even though you were so cruel to Chuer's heart has already fallen into your hands. Yin Luo Feng lowered her brows and gently lifted Xia Chu's chin with her finger. She smiled faintly. You mean you want to seduce me? Xia Chu blushed and lowered her head. Chu is not as unreasonable as Miss Hong Wan. If I can serve you for a night, Chu will be satisfied. Hong Wan was unreasonable. A fierce light flashed in Yin Luo Feng's eyes. She raised her leg and kicked Xia Chu away with a loud bang. Xia Chu slammed into the wall. She raised her startled eyes and stared at Yin Luo Feng in disbelief. Faced with such a tender and sweet woman like her, he could actually be so cruel? In the beginning, Xia Chu had thought that Yin Luo Feng was coveting the power of the Continent Lord's palace. That was why he was protecting Hong Wan in front of the public. After all, who would like an unreasonable woman like Hong Wan? However, She never expected that Yin Luofeng would attack her when Hong Luan was not around. Yin Luofeng's body leaned lazily against the back of the chair. She took out a handkerchief from her lapel and carefully wiped the finger that had lifted Xia Chu's chin. Her expression and actions made it seem as if Xia Chu was the germ that had contaminated her finger. Since you don't accept me, don't blame me for being rude. Xia Chu's eyes flickered with a cold light. With a swoosh, she tore off the clothes covering her chest, revealing half of her breasts. She was filled with temptation. Then, she purposely messed up her hair, slammed the door, and shouted, "Help! Help! Someone is trying to molest me." Xia Chu's cries were very pitiful, and his pathetic appearance easily caused people to have wild and fanciful thoughts. The first to appear were the people Ling Chun had sent to protect Xia Chu. He had been told by Ling Chun that if Xia Chu cried out, he had to immediately appear in front of Xia Chu. Therefore, when he saw Xia Chu in such a sorry state, he flew into a rage. "Miss Xia Chu, don't worry. My young master will definitely seek justice for you." As he spoke, the people from the Continent Lord's mansion also heard the commotion and came over. The person walking at the front was impressively the travel-worn Continent Lord Hong Ling. After Hong Ling, Hong Luan and Ling Chun also hurried over. As soon as Xia Chuyin saw Ling Chun, he leapt into his arms and started to cry. "Chu'er, what happened? Did that bastard molest you?" When Ling Chun saw Xia Chu, he tightly clenched his fists, his eyes spitting fire. Chapter 1345. Xia Chu was sobbing uncontrollably. Her hair was disheveled, making it impossible for people not to guess what had happened to her. "Young master," Xia Chu finally stopped crying. She raised her tear-stained eyes. "You have to get justice for Chu Er." In other words, she was admitting that Yin Luofeng had humiliated her. "Good, very good." Ling Chun tightly gritted his teeth, to the point that he could hear them chattering. "Hong Luan, this is the man you found. He's a lecher, but not only is he lecherous, he even dared to look at Chu Er's beauty. This kind of person is not good enough for my Chu Er." Hong Luan smiled, playing with her hair. "Do you think I'm prettier or Xia Chu?" Yin Luofeng would look at Xia Chu's beauty. "What a joke. She can't even compare to a finger of mine. Is she worth my Feng Er looking at?" Everyone in the Continent Lord's residence looked at Ling Chun with hostility. If he dared to say that their young miss was not as beautiful as Xia Chu, they would definitely rush up and beat him half to death. Who cares if he's a young master of the Northern Continent? He can't bully the young miss. Ling Chun angrily said, "Yes, you're beautiful, but you're too unruly and unreasonable. How can you compare to Chu Er's gentleness? Moreover, men always look at the pot while eating from the bowl. Who can guarantee that he doesn't want to have multiple wives?" After saying this, Ling Chun turned to look at the silent Hong Ling. "Uncle Hong, you have to get justice for me." Hong Ling's stern gaze swept over the woman hiding in Ling Chen's arms, and he said in a stern voice, "Who allowed this woman to enter the Continent Lord's residence?" He did not answer Ling Chen's question, and instead questioned him. "What kind of place is the Continent Lord's residence? Is it a place that a shady woman like her can enter?" Hong Ling's eyes were filled with fire, and he said in a domineering voice, "And you, Ling Chun, this Continent Lord allowed you to have concubines, but I didn't say that you could bring your concubines to bully this Continent Lord's daughter. As such, you can forget about calling me Uncle Hong. I don't have a nephew like you." Ling Chen's face alternated between green and white as he gnashed his teeth. "Red. Continent's Lord wants to protect Yin Luofeng? Just based on this woman's words, you can conclude that Yin Luofeng humiliated her? I think this woman has ulterior motives. She can't bear to see my daughter happy, so she came to destroy this marriage." Hong Luan cast a strange glance at Hong Ling. According to his father's personality, he would definitely side with Ling Chun. After all, Ling Chun was the young master of the Northern Continent. As someone who valued power and influence, how could he reprimand Ling Chun because of his relationship with the various continents? It was also unreliable to say that it was because of the Jun family. He still wasn't sure if Yin Luofeng was the daughter of the Jun family's eldest daughter. so he couldn't make such a decision without being certain. Could it be that this fellow had changed? Young master. Xia Chu's tears flowed out like water, and his voice was filled with grief. I'm sorry, it's all Chu Er's fault. If it wasn't for Chu Er, this wouldn't have happened. Originally, Chu Er came here to find Yun Luofeng with good intentions. I wanted him to help you and Miss Hong Wan, but who knew? Who knew that Yun Luofeng was such a lecher? Xia Chu bit her lip and looked up at Ling Chun. However, Yin Luofeng is the future son-in-law of the continent lord residence, so let's forget about it. I don't want to burden you, young master. Chapter 1346. Originally, Ling Chun had planned to leave first. There were too many people in the continent lord's mansion, and there was no benefit in fighting with these people. Now, hearing Xia Chu's pitiful words, the anger in his heart once again surged. Look, this was the woman he loved. How beautiful and kind. At a time like this, she was still thinking for him. How could he be weak? As a man, if he couldn't stand up for his woman, then what was the use of him? Chu Er, you don't need to say any more. Today, I will definitely get justice for you. Ling Chun gritted his teeth, then raised his head and yelled towards the door. Yun Luofeng, get out here. Just as he finished speaking, a person in white walked out of the door. The young man's white robes were like snow, and he was incomparably handsome, like a god. Who's barking outside? Who's barking outside? The young man's voice was not loud, but rather calm. However, everyone could hear the arrogance in his voice. What did barking mean? Only the noise of a dog could be called barking. This brat dared to call him a dog? Ling Chun clenched his fists. Yun Luofeng, you even dare to molest my woman. You're simply too daring. Today, no one can protect you. Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows, looking at the woman in Ling Chen's arms, and smiled. Do you think everyone has the same taste as you? You. Ling Chun was furious. Was this brat saying that his taste was too bad, and that he didn't like a woman like Xia Chu? Young Master Yun. Hong Ling frowned, turning to look at Yun Luofeng. Can you tell me what happened? She came uninvited, and first told me that Hong Wan and Ling Chun were traveling hand in hand, and said that she wanted to spend the night with me. Then, I kicked her, but I don't know why, but she tore her clothes and ran out. Yin Luofeng said disapprovingly. Hong Wan's eyes widened, and she angrily said, When did I travel hand in hand with you? Don't lie, through your teeth. You're lying. Just as Hong Wan finished speaking, Xia Chu's voice came from his side. Her body seemed to be trembling in anger as she glared at Yin Luofeng. My clothes were clearly torn by you. A lecher like you is completely unworthy of Miss Hong Wan. Miss Hong Wan was deceived by you. That's why she accepted you. One had to admit that this Xia Chu was indeed very scheming. She knew what to say to make the people of the continent lord's mansion stand on the same side as her. Therefore, her words did not insult Hong Wan at all. Instead, she claimed that Hong Wan was deceived by Yun Luofeng. This way, the people from the continent lord's mansion would definitely join forces to deal with Yun Luofeng. Sure enough, everyone in the continent lord's mansion, aside from Hong Ling and her father, was glaring at Yun Luofeng. It was as if Yun Luofeng had done something that angered everyone. Poochie. In the end, Hong Wan couldn't help but laugh. Ling Chun, my servant girl, told me that Xia Chu sneaked into Yun Luofeng's room. Do you know why I didn't rush to stop him? Everyone looked at Hong Wan in confusion. Even Hong Ling did the same. He knew his daughter's personality very well. She was extremely impulsive. If she had known earlier, she would definitely have rushed over. Could it be that she wanted to test Yun Luofeng? But looking at her expression, it did not seem so. Chapter 1347. What do you mean? Ling Chen's face stiffened as he asked. Hong Wan's smile became wider and wider. That's because I want to know what Xia Chu wants to do. Looks like I've really overestimated her. She can even play such childish tricks. She really proves the saying, a shameless person is invincible. Hong Wan, can't you see that Yun Luofeng is bullying Chua? Ling Chen's expression became even uglier. Everything in front of him proved that Xia Chu had been humiliated. Did Hong Wan really trust this man? Hong Wan did not reply to Ling Chun and walked over to Yun Luofeng's side. She smiled. Yun Luofeng, Thank you for your help these past few days. Now my father is no longer forcing me to marry him. Our goal has been achieved. What? What did this mean? Everyone blinked in shock. What did she mean by their goal had been achieved? Just as everyone was filled with doubt, Hong Luan raised her hand and pulled on the hair tie that Yin Luo Feng used to tie his hair. She gently pulled it off. Her fine black hair cascaded down her face, covering her beautiful face that could cause the downfall of a nation. Immediately, Yin Luo Feng took out a bottle of medicine from who knows where and wiped it across her throat. Her throat seemed to melt and gradually disappeared, dead silence. No one spoke, and everyone stared unblinkingly at Yin Luo Feng. Her Adam's apple disappeared. This young man was actually a woman? Hong Luan, my task is complete. You can take care of the rest yourself. Her voice was not as low and hoarse as before. Instead, it had the crispness of a young girl. Ling Chen was dumbfounded. Xia Chu's face was deathly pale, and a layer of cold sweat appeared on her forehead. She stood in front of Ling Chen and could not come back to her senses for a long time. Yin Luo Feng, you're a woman? The first to come back to his senses was Hong Ling. He never thought that the son-in-law he had gradually accepted would be a young girl. Father, you've been forcing me to marry him. I don't want to marry Ling Chen. So, I had Yin Luo Feng disguise herself as a man. Hong Luan raised her eyebrows. Luckily, you've already agreed to let me decide my own marriage, so I don't need her to disguise herself as a man. Hong Ling took a deep breath, a strange look in her eyes. Fortunately, he hadn't informed the Jun family yet. Otherwise, how would the old man of the Jun family find him if his grandson became his granddaughter? Xia Chu. Hong Luan smiled at Xia Chu. Now you should understand why I did not stop you from entering Yin Luofeng's room. Now I want to see how you're going to clean up this mess. Chua. Hearing this, Ling Chen came back to his senses and pushed Xia Chu away as he asked with a pale face, Can you give me an explanation? Xia Chu's lips trembled slightly, and despair gradually appeared on his face. She had never thought that Yin Luo Feng would be a woman. Hong Luan. Yin Luo Feng turned to Hong Luan. Is there a doctor in the Continent Lord's mansion? Hong Luan suddenly came to her senses. She immediately understood the meaning of Yin Luofeng's words. She said to Hong Ling, Father, find someone to examine Xia Chu's body. Ling Chen, don't you think that Xia Chu is kind and gentle? Was it because he felt guilty for what had happened before? Then I will expose all her true colors in front of you. Chapter 1348. Who asked me, Hong Luan, to be a vengeful person? Although Hong Ling did not know what Yin Luo Feng and Hong Luan meant, she still ordered someone to bring a doctor over. Not long after, a white-haired doctor appeared in front of Hong Ling. Go and diagnose her body, Hong Ling said as she waved her hand. Yes, Continent Lord. The old man cupped his fists and slowly walked towards Xia Chu. No, don't. Seeing the old man walking towards her, Xia Chu's expression changed, and she retreated. Don't come over. Hong Luan looked at Xia Chu with a smile. I only heard that your body was weak because of miscarriage, so I asked the doctor to diagnose your body. What do you mean by this? Is there some secret you can't tell others? At this moment, Xia Chu finally understood that she would never be a match for Hong Luan in this lifetime. She looked at the old man walking closer and closer to her, and her eyes became more and more panicked. Her clothes were already soaked in sweat, and her face was full of despair. No matter how stupid Ling Chen was, at this moment, he realized something. His expression became cold, and there was no trace of his previous warmth. Xia Chu, let him examine her. Xia Chu's body trembled. At this moment, the old man had already caught up with Xia Chu. After a while, he frowned and said, Young people nowadays really dare to eat anything. They even dare to eat a medicinal herb like the Luo Song flower. Luo Song flower? Ling Chen's body suddenly froze. Although he was not a doctor, he had heard of the Luo Song flower. It was said that the Luo Song flower only had one effect, and that was to make a healthy person look like a sickly person. Because this kind of medicinal herb was very useful, very few medicine shops would sell it. However, if one used this Luo Song flower frequently, it would really cause one's body to become incredibly weak. That was why the old man said such a thing. Young master. Xia Chu's face flashed with anxiety, and she hurriedly grabbed Ling Chen's hand, saying, "Young master, listen to me. I did this because, bang." Ling Chen fiercely swung Xia Chu's hand. Xia Chu's body took a few steps back and heavily fell to the ground, her face ashen. "Xia Chu, have you been lying to me all this time?" Ling Chen angrily roared out. "No wonder every time I came to find Hong Wan, your old illness would relapse, and because of my guilt, I would always return to your side. However, in the end, it was all a scheme." Ling Chen's heart felt as if it had been pierced by a needle. The person he loved wholeheartedly was a scheming woman. In order to get him, she didn't even care about her own body. Furthermore, she had seduced Yun Luofeng first, and after being rejected, she had framed her. How could such a woman be the pure Xia Chu in his heart? "Young master." Xia Chu choked with sobs. "Everything I did was because I love you." "Love me? Ha!" Ling Chen wildly laughed. His laughter was filled with madness, and he staggered a bit as he bitterly said, "I still don't know if any of the things you said to me were true. A few days ago, you told me that you definitely wouldn't change your mind. However, when you saw Yun Luofeng's peerless looks, you wanted to seduce him. Is it your promise to me?" I didn't. Xia Chu's eyes were filled with tears as she shook her head, her voice trembling. Chapter 1349. You didn't seduce her, did she seduce you? If Yun Luofeng wasn't a woman, perhaps I would believe you. It was because Yun Luofeng was a woman that he understood how terrifying Xia Chu was. Xia Chu raised his hand to cover his face, letting the tears flow through the gaps between his fingers. She understood that she would be abandoned by Ling Chen for the rest of her life. Marrying into the northern continent was an unattainable dream. "Luana." Ling Chen raised his head, looking at Hong Wan. His throat was choked, and he was filled with deep regret. "I know I was wrong. Can you give me another chance?" "No." Hong Wan rejected him without any hesitation. "No, you're not such a heartless person. I know that you rejected me before because you were desperate." Ling Chen still held onto a glimmer of hope. "Isn't there a saying that a prodigal who repents is more valuable than gold? Since I've already repented, why don't you give me another chance?" Hong Wan crossed her arms in front of her chest and looked Ling Chen up and down. A hint of a smile gradually appeared in her domineering eyes. "You had an affair with Xia Chu. You're covered in germs. Why do you think I should accept you?" "Sorry, Hong Wan, will never accept a prodigal who repents. To me, the mistakes I've made can never be erased. You no longer have a chance." The woman's heartless words caused Ling Chen's body to tremble. His body could no longer support itself, and he fell heavily to the ground. "I'm tired." Yun Luofeng lazily stretched. "I'm going to rest first. Don't disturb me if there's nothing important." After saying this, she slammed the door shut. Hong Wan could deal with what happened next. She didn't need to ask. "Men, escort Ling Chen out for this continent's lord," Hong Ling said through gritted teeth. "From today onwards, he is not welcome in the continent lord's mansion. Also, whoever let them in today, arrest them and punish them according to the law." After saying this, Hong Ling looked at her daughter and said in a low voice, "Come with me. I have something to say to you." Hong Wan raised her eyebrows and slowly followed behind Hong Ling. In the study, Hong Ling did not speak, and neither did Hong Wan. The atmosphere became tense, and there was a faint sense of oppression. "Luana," Hong Ling finally could not hold it in, and slowly said, "I know that all these years you've always blamed me for being too snobbish, causing you to lose your mother." Hong Wan coldly, "As long as you know." This matter had already become a hurdle in her heart, and she had not forgotten about it for many years. This was already a hurdle in her heart, and she had not let it go for it. Karma. Even though this time, Hong Ling did not side with Ling Chen, she still could not get rid of the prejudice in her heart. If it wasn't for him, his mother wouldn't have forcefully broken through in order to prove herself, and she wouldn't have exploded and died. All of this was because he married a concubine in order to consolidate his power. Hong Ling was not angered. He shook his head with a wry smile and said, "That's because when I take in concubines, I will secretly give them a medicinal herb so that they will never be able to have children." Hong Luan was stunned. She raised her head in disbelief and looked at Hong Ling in astonishment. "I know that my methods are too cruel and heartless, but I can give them a life of luxury and give them a supreme status. However, I will never let them have my children." Hong Ling pressed Hong Luan's shoulder tightly. Chapter 1350. In this world, only your mother is fit to give birth to my bloodline. This world was fought for by your mother and me. Apart from you, no one else can inherit it. If you really love my mother so deeply, why do you keep taking in concubines? Even after my mother's death, you won't let her rest in peace? Luaner, there are some things you don't understand. Hong Luan smiled bitterly. Your mother is already dead, and I can't let our efforts go to waste. Taking in concubines is a factor in the stability of the East Continent. Luaner, I've done so much for you. For me? Hong Luan laughed. You're taking in concubines for me and the East Continent? I, Hong Luan, have never believed in such tricks to rope in experts. I believe that I can subdue them with my power. If they betray me, I'll just kill them. Why would I need to resort to such tricks? Luaner, you'll never understand me if you're not in my shoes. You're now the only bloodline successor of the East Continent Master's Mansion. Therefore, the concubines I've taken in will help you. If those people had their own children, they would definitely want to replace Hong Luan. As they had nothing, they could only protect Hong Luan. Only with her presence would the East Continent be immortal. Indeed, Hong Ling had put in a lot of effort for the sake of the East Continent and Hong Luan. However, he did not know that his actions had caused Hong Luan to feel a deep sense of disdain. Father, I still don't agree with your way of doing things. You can still manage the Continent Lord's Mansion for many years. During this period, I will use my own strength to prove it to you. Hong Ling paused and then said, I will prove that my mother is not wrong. Hong Ling wanted to say something else, but Hong Luan had already turned around and left. She did not stop and disappeared from his sight in the blink of an eye. After leaving the study, Hong Luan turned around and looked at the open door behind her. She clenched her fists tightly and secretly made up her mind. Father, although you're a good father, you're not a good man. Therefore, I'll prove to you that everything you've done is wrong. She then turned around and walked toward the other side of the corridor. However, she did not go to her own room. Instead, she went to Yin Luofeng's room. Perhaps Yin Luofeng already knew that she would come. He had already poured a cup of tea and was waiting for her. After she appeared, he asked indifferently, You're here? Hong Luan raised her head and looked at the young girl in front of her. Her eyes were filled with determination. When the time comes, I will go with you. She knew that once Yin Luofeng received the news, he would leave the Eastern Continent. All right. Yin Luofeng only said this one word, but made Hong Luan's face blossom into a beautiful smile. Yin Luofeng, what you said is correct. A man who truly loves you will hand over the entire world to you. A man who doesn't love you is not even worth the world in your eyes. This time, I left not only to refine myself, but also to find a man who is truly willing to let go of the world for me. Yin Luofeng took a sip of tea and asked, What about the person I asked you to find? I came here to tell you about this. It is said that we already know the whereabouts of the Ghost Emperor. My people are still searching for the specific location. We should be able to get some news in a few days. The people of the Eastern Continent were scattered all over the continent. Thus, with the influence of the Continent Lord's Mansion, it was much easier for them to find someone.